What is up, everyone? Happy Monday. I don't know how anyone enjoys Monday. I think Garfield had it all right this entire time. How's everyone's weekend been? Anyone do anything fun? Yes, I know. Welcome to the work week again. Joining the responsible adults. Yes, Hans, you're the first one to comment over on the purple site side of things. Well, actually, you're the first one to comment on all the platforms right now. So, I didn't get to tinker much with this laptop after we finished the stream last night, but for all intents and purposes, I think it's working at least a little bit. I do have to remember to put the SIM card in here, so that way I can get cell service working. And then if I can at least have it working off a cell, I'm going to have to completely reinstall the OS on here. That I do remember, because there was an issue with the operating system, and I think I just let it go for so long that it's not updating right. And that should hopefully resolve some things. But the issue that we had with, what was it? The Wi-Fi card, I think, is genuinely down to the chip on the SoC overheating, which was a known problem for a lot of people. When I was going through the forums and everything, and I was already planning to upgrade the CPU anyway, so it's one of those, like, it kind of sucks in the short term that I won't really be able to reliably use Wi-Fi, but if I can use the cell modem part of it, that's fine. While I was out at DEF CON, I was thinking I was going to be using, I wanted to use it as a note-taking device, but when I'm doing a lot of my genuine work and stuff, I, of course, am going to have to use another laptop. So that's not a big deal. It's just one of those short-term upsetting things, but you know, that's the thing when you go to tinker with a laptop and, you know, or any kind of piece of hardware and try to get it to work the way you want. You know, hacking stuff isn't always perfect, but that's part of the fun of it, is the journey. So when you finally do getting it work the way you want, the Wi-Fi a little better. It's a little better, but yeah, you got me still looking into grounding rods. Yeah. You make me want to get a mini laptop. I loved mini laptops. So my first ever laptop was an IBM ThinkPad X20. And that thing, I think, was really nicely sized, even for when I was a kid. Let me see if I can pull up the specs over here of the X20 that I had. Yeah, it's a 12-inch laptop. It's a 12-inch laptop. I may just pick one of these up off of eBay just for kicks and giggles. Let me see if I can find some information on this. Give me 1 second. Place the... Yeah, the X series, the X20 was their first real laptop in the ThinkPad series. That was September 2000? Man, that was a while ago. I'll show you what it looks like. It's over here on Wikipedia. So, this is the laptop I'm talking about. That was my first ever laptop. And it was, yep, the X20. That's the X220. That's a little bit different. But it was a 12-inch laptop that didn't have Wi-Fi built in. You had the Intel Celeron or Pentium 3. I had a Pentium 3. Yep, 600 megahertz, 128 megabytes. Although I think my dad bumped that to 256 for me. I think I had the 10 gigabyte hard drive. I could have been mistaken. It's a while ago. And I had a 12.1 inch display. I want to say my dad opted for the 1024 by 768 one. It was a really, really nice laptop, especially as a kid. Like, I love this laptop. This, I think, is, like, damn near the perfect format for a laptop if I could carry it every day. Because I feel like The standard 14-inch laptop is a little bit too big these days. I mean, it still is in general. What's up, Mr. Pepper? Can I daisy chain a bunch of laptops to create a network? I mean, I don't see why not, but you'll probably have to attach different network cards depending on what you're trying to do with, but yeah. What do you do if you have to run a Windows program? VM? Yep, that's exactly what I do. I run a virtual machine. Although I do have a bare metal Windows device here running Windows Enterprise. This is currently on 10 Enterprise. After DEF CON, I'm going to move that over to 11. That's purely because I have Elgato capture cards and teleprompter and key lights and all of that stuff. What's bare metal? That's the term we use for when you're running it without virtualization, bare metal. So, like, that's just the term that a lot of us use in the field. So basically, if you buy a computer off the shelf, that's usually with Windows pre-installed bare metal. We refer to it as bare metal because it's just right there as low as it can get on the machine. I mean, unless you're talking DOS or semantics there, but we're not going to get into that. I think there's something wrong with me because even the 15-inch screens are not enough for me. We get it, Stabby. You are a size queen when it comes to your laptops. No, but seriously, I understand why people would want a larger monitor, but the issue is hauling a larger laptop. I remember my cousin had, what was it, the Acer, what was this Acer massive laptop? He had this massive laptop. I want to say it was like 20 inches or larger. He had it in his office. This is like a decade ago. It was such an obscure laptop. I've only seen one with it. Like, he had like a giant briefcase with it. Like, it was ridiculous. Some people use that. He used it because he had bad eyesight. Of course, it wasn't much of a laptop. It was like, it was huge. I mean, like, it was like the size of a pizza box kind of thing. But for me, I generally like smaller devices when I can. Like, this, I think, is going to be great for average, everyday, just going and tinkering, needing a computer to take notes, open it up in an airport or a coffee shop as I travel, do a lot of my basic things. Something like this is what I would actually like be doing my work on, this kind of size format or anything like that. But I feel like 12-inch laptops are kind of the lost art. Everyone's opted for like the 14, 15-inch standard as being the median size for computers. Hold on 1 second. Pull this up. So what are bare metal servers? Same concept. It's not that hard to understand what we mean by bare metal. It literally just means the operating system is there and it's not virtualized. We just use that in a term to make it very easy to explain. Do we have any layers in between it or anything like that? Like, you know, oh, is it Dockerized? No, it's bare metal. Is it virtualized? No, it's bare metal. It's just, you know, an easy way for people in the tech field to just say, no, it's not virtualized, it's not Dockerized, it's not containerized, any of that stuff. It's just installed on the bare hardware. If you go up to pretty much any person that's been in the field for some time, they will know exactly what you mean by when you say, so is this setup bare metal? Like VMware is installed bare metal, and then you put everything virtualized. Temple OS. So right now, for my virtual machines on this box, I don't have Windows installed, I think. No, I do not. I have, like, here, I can show you. We have the Andy's Ham Radio Linux that we were playing with when I was tinkering with Haiku with y'all. Kali VM. Minuet OS, which is another OS we were tinkering around the other day. That's a really cool one. It's a 64-bit operating system written in assembly that actually can fit on inside of a floppy disk. A modern operating system. Like, it's really, really performant and cool. There's the Parrot OS VM, the React OS VM, which is the open source Windows compatible operating system that's still in like alpha beta stage. Ubuntu, Unix, but Windows isn't that hard for me to install. Let's see. The OS installed directly on the machine. Yep, that's all it is. So I answered the OS, what I got in my VM. But yeah. What is the future of Linux gaming, you reckon? Well, when it comes to Linux gaming, I think it's going to be a bright future. It's going to take a while because right now Microsoft, as I've talked about in many prior streams and in short and long form content, Microsoft has really been shooting themselves in the foot when it comes to a lot of their own technologies. And the winds have really shifted from when we were grabbed by the balls for Windows 95 through Windows 10, I would say. Windows 11 and the way they've handled it, I think, has really upset enough people that they're actually looking at Linux as an alternative, especially given the fact Valve has thrown their heavy weight behind a lot of gaming on Linux. They funded the entire Proton ecosystem, which allows you to have a compatibility layer much easier than we did before with a combination of Wine, DXVK, and I think I'm forgetting a couple other components there. But I think it's going to be a bright future, especially because you have the Steam Deck. I think there's a few other handhelds that are released by other partners that are releasing it with Linux pre-installed for you to game on. The other thing is, in just my time from when I started using Linux to today, the real, sign is years ago, even when I was starting my content, the question was always, what is Linux? Now, when people are coming into my streams, or I run into them in real life, even a lot of the, you would call quote-unquote normies. I don't know why I say quote-unquote, it's just quote normies. They actually are aware of Linux, and now the question is shifted from what is Linux to why should I use Linux? Which gives an understanding of they're aware of this thing. Now they're looking for alternatives. It's very similar to the discussions I used to have back in the day when I was in MSP, and even before that when I was, doing like, repairs out of the house and stuff like that. Where people would ask me, like, they'd know about Mac, as small of a market share as it is, and ask if Mac was a good choice for them. Back in the day, I would have actually told a lot of people to go use a Mac computer, back in the PowerPC era. But of course, that's changed a lot. The first, nail was, I would say, when they started soldering their components in. The second nail was when they, well, actually, the first nail would be when they moved from PowerPC to Intel. The second nail would be when they started soldering their components in. And I'd say, and they didn't redesign anything for thermals, all of that. Yeah, but yeah. Panasonic Toughbook, LOL, those were a good idea. I love a Panasonic Toughbook. I'm actually looking at getting a ruggedized laptop, but I'm not going to buy one brand new. What I'm probably going to end up doing is when I go to Hamvention, hopefully next year, I will probably pick one up at the flea market because I found a few there, but I wasn't in the market to really buy one because I had all the repairs and all this other stuff going on, as we've talked about. But I found a few Toughbooks for like $300 to $500 that are perfectly in my price range because I want a ruggedized laptop so that I can do a reliable Parks on the Air setup for ham radio, and I think that'd be a perfect pairing to the Yaesu FTX 1 that I'm looking to get potentially next year if things, even out, as well as if I can possibly get my new Cubes OS laptop. But nonetheless, I'd like to get a ruggedized laptop for all of that. But I don't think I've, before I went on that tangent, I don't think I answered the future of Linux gaming. I think it's going to be a bright future. The big issue is getting the developers, mainly the AAA, quadruple A developers, to just understand they need to stop making crap dev work and crappy excuses to not support Linux. Like, because a lot of games did support Linux and then it just yanked it. Even though I was never a fan of League of Legends, it did originally work on Linux, from what I recall. There are a lot of people that play World of Warcraft on Linux, even though I'm not a World of Warcraft person. Apex Legends, which I did play for a bit, did work on Linux. And then they, yanked support for it. So I think there's going to be more support for Linux as time goes on, especially as people get more upset with Windows and they just don't want to replace their computer just because the newest operating system doesn't support their current hardware. But yeah, ruggedized laptop, love that. Years ago, I had a 16-inch laptop, and I thought it was the ideal size. Well, see, the issue with, like, a 16-inch laptop, and even, like, 14, 15 in many cases. 14, 15 is, like, kind of like where I'd say probably the largest I want to have is. Once you start getting larger than that, it's not really a laptop and more so of a desktop replacement. Which, it's fine if you're not planning to be too mobile. They're usually thicker, they're, heavier, and oftentimes with the larger laptops, you'll find they actually have desktop components inside of there. At least they were for many years ago. How to be an ethical hacker. Well, when it comes to ethical hacking, that comes in many different varieties. It really just, you're tinkering, you're exploring the different vulnerabilities that you can exploit, and you're doing it in ethical fashions. You're giving ethical disclosures, so you're disclosing to companies, hey, you have this vulnerability. You tell them, give them a heads up. You work with them to resolve the issue, which means you may not immediately disclose it. And then, ethical hackers come in all sorts of varieties. Everyone thinks that it's just like pen testing and, pwning apps and stuff like that. No, it can also be a physical side of things. There's many different flavors of ethical hacker. A lot of the things that I've done, even though I am a little bit more technical and I work with the different platforms like, EDRs, XDRs, email security systems, things like that. A lot of it also is social engineering plays a part into that as well, because the human is always the weakness, and finding those things, as well as physical security. Physical security is definitely a weakness in many different places, where you would be surprised at how easy it is to get into certain physical locations. I remember when I worked in the healthcare setting for a little while, people would literally open doors to you if they saw a hard hat and a ladder and wouldn't ask questions. You could walk around with a lab coat. No one would think anything of it, even though your lab coat literally says like something like Dr. Love or that, and you don't belong there, and then wouldn't question you getting on a computer or something like that. Yeah, ethical hacking comes in many different varieties, but the main aspect of it is you're ethical about it. If money not there, what can eat? Getting money in the daytime, even kinda wanna sleep. Wake up to getting bread, bitch, I do this for the streets. ADHD. Darko, thank you for that sub. Thank you. So I see Darko's in chat. Man, I've been streaming for like, what? Almost 3 years, I guess, on and off. Wow. Can't believe that. I'm here to cause problems. I know, you are the number one reason I have gotten kicked off TikTok Live. Let's just not talk about fruit roll-ups. If you know, you know. Even the European Union as a whole is studying alternatives for official matters, but there's too much to analyze there. Well, the EU has been playing with open source software for many, many years. This isn't just a recent development. You'd find cities that are like, we're going to start using Linux. They'd be on, they'd be off, they'd be on, they'd be off. I think they were a little bit ahead of the curve. But I also feel like, in the US, we're a little bit more beholden to Microsoft because they're a US company. And it's going to take a little bit more for them to actually be swayed to do open source and stuff like that. Just wondering, are gaming monitors a scam, or are they worth it for 200 plus hertz? I wouldn't say they're a scam. I'd say it's one of those things that's dependent upon what's valuable for you. Now, I have a couple of gaming monitors. Granted, they're not anything fancy. They're Micro Center specials that I got for a little over $100. They're Dell gaming monitors capable of 1080p and 144 hertz with G-Sync built in. I think they work really, really well. I probably will eventually upgrade my monitors when I get to a better GPU on the main box over here. Currently, I've only been eyeing a 5050 for the stream box so I can do AV1 encoding. I digress. Monitors... I thought the cable got stripped, and I'm like, no, that is bare, just because that caught my eye. Anyway, ADHD. They're not a scam. It's just one of those... There are some brands that are lower quality than others. So I would check the reviews of different people and see what they say about different monitors before you go and buy them. Of course, there's, different reputable brands like ViewSonic, there's Dell. Acer makes okay monitors from what I hear. I haven't used them much. I have one, I think, over here. Yeah, this is an Acer, my vertical monitor over here. But a lot of when it comes down to, computer hardware, it's more about your personal preference and your budget and what you're trying to get out of it. So it's not really a scam. Now, I will say, if you get an NVIDIA GPU, you're going to want to probably lean towards G-Sync, AMD with FreeSync, although you can, my understanding, use some of the FreeSync stuff with NVIDIA G-Sync now. Just because that adaptive refresh does help, because if it's consistently 144 hertz, you may have some, little tearing, things like that, whereas adaptive refresh will adapt the, refresh, exactly. I consider myself a Linux gamer. I consider myself also a Linux gamer. I've been gaming on Linux for... Wow, I'm old. It's been more than 15 years I've been gaming on Linux. Playing Doom 3 on Linux. Playing Quake 4 on Linux. Playing Enemy Territory Quake Wars on Linux. Playing Tribes 2 on Linux. I've been doing this for a while. I'm almost at the point where I've been gaming on Linux longer than some of my audience has been around. Let's see, what's chat saying? You run an LLM locally. Is it more important to have more RAM or better graphics card? It's definitely important to have more RAM, I would say. But a graphics card definitely will give you a noticeable boost in how fast it processes that. NVIDIA is unfortunately the king. You can do some AI accelerations, LLMs accelerations with AMD, using the OpenCL side, but a lot of things are optimized for NVIDIA CUDA. So that's, what I would say with it. Although you can get something like the NVIDIA Jetson platform. There are some models you'll load up where it won't work because you don't have enough memory. So you kind of need that balance too. The one issue is GPUs don't have as much memory as they should for these days. NVIDIA is still trying to push the, 8 gigabyte average of memory, which is not enough VRAM, even when you're talking about gaming at larger resolutions. But the reason why they're doing that is they're purposely trying to force the market to go buy the more expensive GPUs for all the fancy business processing and LLM AI processing that has a lot more memory with the quadros and everything. Because in all honesty, GPUs should have about, I'd say, double what they are right now. For a lot of where the not like on the higher end. Make that clear. Like when you're in the 70, 80, 90 series, they should have more than 8 gigabytes these days. That's just my opinion. Um, what about the conflict between Linux and kernel level anti-cheat? That's because developers need to get with the times and actually understand kernel level anti-cheat is a dumb idea to begin with. It is a dumb idea. It is an insecure idea. I've gone through this many different times where I've made an entire YouTube video talking about how there's been kernel level anti-cheat, which was, for one example, Genshin Impact. Genshin Impact had their anti-cheat ripped out, then used as an attack chain to disable antivirus on machines. Kernel level anti-cheat is something that should have never existed, and game developers are getting more and more intrusive and invasive with kernel level anti-cheat and the requirements they're having for all this stuff, when in fact they should be investing in a lot less invasive ways. Because here's the thing. We're already seeing, what is it called? What's the term? It's just basically, I forget what the term is. I have it in a prior video, where basically they're hooking into your memory on your computer by using another computer, and then on the host computer playing the game, it's basically showing up as like a wireless card or something like that, and that second computer is direct memory. That's what it is, direct memory cheating. It's basically rewriting things in memory from a second computer. So you're always going to get around that thing. The question is, not like the whole Jurassic Park, philosophical statement of, I'm going to paraphrase here, just because we could, we didn't stop to think if we should. And the can of worms is opening up, and you're going to watch and see more threat actors use kernel level anti-cheat as part of their attacks. The Genshin Impact was just one example, and they were reported to the game studio for over a year that this vulnerability existed, and they had proof of concept out on GitHub, and they still had the versions out there that were vulnerable signed, so any computer would see it as, trustworthy software that's signed by Microsoft. But yeah, I'm oversimplifying a little bit of that. But the reality is kernel level anti-cheat, I think, is creating more problems than it will solve. And I know people are going to be like, well, we have to stop cheaters. And I'm like, it's a video game. I will trust CrowdStrike. I will trust, any EDR, XDR software with kernel level access because they're actual security software, but not a video game. So the honest answer that I will give to people when they're like, well, this game doesn't work because of kernel level anti-cheat. And I'm like, well, I'm not going to play it even if I, was using Windows. I would not want to play a kernel level anti-cheat game. Now, there are many games that have anti-cheat that work in Linux just fine. Warframe has an anti-cheat from my understanding. Halo Master Chief Collection has an anti-cheat. Quite a few of the games in my library have anti-cheats. But developers need to stop with this BS way of, trying to, be intrusive and invasive. I remember, what was it? Is it Riot Studios that's the manufacturer of the maker of League of Legends and stuff like that? I think they were talking about how they want to move into IOMMU requirements for kernel level anti-cheat, which is getting a bit ridiculous. Because if you're not aware of what IOMMU is it's basically a way for you to directly interface with the hardware, especially with the virtual machine, so that you can have more performant software. And it's weird that they're like already looking at hooking into your system like a virtual machine in such an invasive way where it's going to have direct access to your hardware. And I'm sitting here like, the only time I want to have a video game have direct access to my hardware is back in the DOS days when it was that low level. It makes no sense. It makes no sense to me on multiple levels. Could you explain the issues and the possible future for things like Vanguard? I think I touched on that already. First laptop was an OG black MacBook. There was a tank, and things was a tank and upgrade the crap out of it. It was a sad day when the Mac OS legacies out the 32-bit platform. Now, what's interesting is they sunset the 32-bit platform, but I could have sworn they were 64-bit far longer than a lot of people realized. I thought the PowerPC was 64-bit. Could be wrong. Let me see. PowerC PC Mac 64-bit. Yeah, PowerPC G5 were 64-bit. Unless you're talking about something older, yeah, because PowerPC was like a pure 64-bit platform. It was really great. I love the PowerPC Macs. They were great. Catching up with the chat. I'm in search for a POS software open source. I presume you're talking point of sale? Not piece of, you know where I'm going with that. Let me know if that's what you're talking about. My realm. Building a Telegram bot for food delivery. Okay. Telegram bot for food delivery? I guess because Telegram isn't as popular here in the States, and, I'm also not a fan of Telegram. I've just never really thought much about using Telegram. I've had my words about why I don't care for Telegram and why I don't think it's a good platform and why I think people should be careful with using it. Not that I think that it's dangerous in and of itself or malware, but more so the platform itself I think wasn't architected in the best way in terms of security. And the ability to actually protect your privacy. Gaming monitors are not a scam, but disregard gaming, find what features meet your needs. Exactly. I don't look for gaming hardware. I find hardware that happens to game well, if that makes sense. But I buy my stuff to work. I think the whole marketing to gamers has really led to horrible results because, gamers get, RGB puke. They get, you got gamer chairs, and gamer chairs are really not comfortable. Like, I tell people all the time, if you're going to get a chair for gaming, get a nice office chair. Like my Herman Miller Aeron that I bought used at a furniture store is still one of the best choices I've had. The Staples Heiken chair, that's another good choice. I use that in my other office. Get a good office chair. Get something that, people that sit in for hours and use. Now, in terms of like mice and keyboards, okay, there might be something there. But usually all the other peripherals, you can do without the gaming marketing and just look at the features that you actually need your system to work with and what you're looking to have. Let's see, let's catching up. Thoughts on Intel sunsetting Clear Linux? Not familiar with that one, honestly. What exactly is cybersecurity and why is it important for regular people? Cybersecurity is basically the ability to protect your data. But a lot of people think that cybersecurity is just in terms of technology. But cybersecurity can also be physical protections as well. When I went for my CISSP exam, a good chunk of it was physical building considerations. I can actually pull that up while I'm talking. But it's the understanding that humans are also the weakest link in the chain when it comes to like, because you have phishing, you have a lot of these different vectors, but more or less, it's the ability to understand and recognize threats and how to respond to them. See? Physical security requirements. People don't believe me when I say that cybersecurity isn't just in the digital realm. There's a whole section here devoted when I was going for my certification about physical security requirements. They're talking about wiring closets, intermediate distribution facilities, server rooms, data centers, media storage facilities, evidence storage, restricted and work area security, even utilities and heating, ventilation, and air conditioning, environmental issues, fire protection, detection and suppression, power, perimeter security controls, internal security controls. Yeah. But yeah, sneaker net. Yep, definitely. I play ETS on, guess what, Linux. Nice. What's ETS? I'm kind of out of the loop. I tried Grok AI. It is buggy. You saying Grok is a little buggy? I haven't really tried Grok, but I find it weird how they're making it like this anime waifu avatar. Don't get me wrong, I love anime. But it's just kind of weird because there's going to be a lot of lonely people that are going to gravitate to it. And we've already had problems where people have gotten a little too affectionate with their LLMs and, started to fall in love and be affectionate with LLMs. And I'm just concerned for the ethical implications in terms of the... I don't know the proper words for this, I guess you could say, but I guess it'd be the sociological issues, because we already have issues with a lot of lonely individuals that don't do well with social skills. We've already seen like the whole like meltdown with the Gen Z stare on social media and everything, and it's just, I keep bringing this point up. If you have seen Futurama, I feel like we're getting closer and closer to that point where you can download a consciousness into a bot. When Fry had the Lucy Liu bot and he fell in love with that AI inside of that robot body, I feel like we're going to get to that point, and I don't know what the implications are for society as a whole if and when we get to that point where people can honestly just check out from having to deal with human interactions and build their own fantasy worlds and live in there completely. It's one thing for, to have a fantasy world, and everyone has their fantasies and stuff like that. It's another... it's one thing to have that and be able to accept you have to go to the real world and deal with it. It's another thing when you get to stay in that la la land and you don't comprehend reality. I've been around a lot longer than you, and Linux at the moment is still not ready for Joe Public, just saying. I'd say it's a lot more... Here's the thing. A while ago, I would say the same argument, but the reality is, let's talk about what the average user does on a computer. What does the average user do, and what are they doing to access it? Most people are using a web browser. You're already seeing there's a good chunk of the society that actually can work just fine with a Chromebook. So the difference is maybe 15 years ago, it would have been, oh, I can't run all of my local apps and everything like that. But the average person, give them a web browser, and they can go from there. I mean, case in point, I did that with my grandmother. I got tired of fixing her Windows computer because of viruses and a bunch of stuff. And I literally installed Linux one day and I said, all right, Grandma, this is Linux. Here's how you get to the browser. There you go. And she asked me, all she needed was solitaire on top of that. Pretty straightforward. What about like 1 millisecond or 0.5 millisecond? Can you tell the difference? Not really. I wouldn't focus so much on those things. And the honest truth is, it's not really going to make much of a difference between half a millisecond and 1 millisecond response times on a monitor to the average person. Just my advice would be, if you have access to a micro center or something like that, where you have all the monitors, look at them. If at all possible, bring a laptop with you. Put some content on that laptop, and oftentimes they'll let you, plug in a cable to, see how it interacts with your content, because they'll have their loop of, making any monitor better, and then play it on that monitor and see which one you actually like. What is a good medical AI? There isn't. There isn't. Not that I know of, and there's nothing that really has been accepted as a good medical LLM. I would always, you can use things like ChatGPT and, all those different things to actually get some preliminary information. Like I was doing it when I was getting back on ADHD medication recently to look at the differences in stimulant versus non-stimulant therapies. What were the different, medications? What were the side effects of them? Things like that. But I took that information and I went to my doctor and had a discussion with my doctor. I don't think there's really any medical AI I would say go and trust this. Contrary to what Elon Musk was saying with, Grok being able to diagnose people and everything like that. It's a good tool to help you get on the right line. But remember, LLMs can give you false information. So, understand that. Darko, you can chime in, of course. How are the Intel GPUs doing on Linux? I hear they're doing okay. I haven't really tried them myself, so I can't speak for that. Eventually, I want to play with them, but I don't have a lot of cash to burn to just buy a GPU, throw it in, and then just be like, okay, we're doing some tests, and it looks good, and then go back to my old way. In VC? One second. Gotta move my own dude up. Alright, hold on. Let me make sure that I can get the audio piped through. Say something. Let me change to... Alright, say something now.
Hello.
There we go. Okay.
Alright.
What's up, Darko?
What's up, bud? Alright. So, a few things. A, first off, don't diss my girl. Okay?
You can go back to your anime body pillow anytime, buddy.
I will, but this one talks to me, okay? 2, what's that thing on your desk? The white box.
Oh, that's the Bluetooth speaker that Proofpoint sent over some swag.
Oh, okay. I was looking at it. I'm like, dude, what the heck is that? That's pretty cool.
It is. It's a Bluetooth speaker that Proofpoint sent to some of their swag for doing some of their power sessions, just their learning sessions that are free. It's one of those things, like if you sign up and you're one of the first like 1,000 or so, they'll give you free swag. Well, one of my coworkers got this and he didn't want it, so he just handed it to me. But yeah, it's a Bluetooth speaker that's just Proofpoint branded, but you can change the RGBs on it. So I thought, if anything, oh, that's a new thing. I haven't played with this too much. Other than it turns on and I can change the lights. You know?
Oh my god, that is pretty cool.
Yeah, it's like a little cool, you know, a little knick-knack thing. And I thought, hey, that'd be great for stream. Just sit that right there, catches people attention.
Nice. Yeah, it did. Honestly, it got mine because I was looking up. So, all right. First off, I'm looking at it and I'm like, I'm trying to figure it out. I'm like, all right, maybe the little circle is a clock or something, and it's not like backlit, so I can't see. And I'm like, and then maybe inside, like you put like something, you know, whether it's like a watch or something you want to display with a little digital clock, something like that. And I was like, all right, you know that. And then I was like, well, you know what? Maybe it's like a little mini humidor for cigars. And then like you just put the cigar in there and it's like all electron. I was like, man, Chief's getting fancy.
No, it ain't that complex. It was just I got that you know, from a coworker, and I was like, this actually be perfect to just sit on my stream setup.
Yeah. Oh, it is. It's nice, man.
Yeah, and of course it's still on point because it's Proofpoint.
So, oh, go for it.
No, that's all I was gonna say.
So, 2 gaming monitors.
Yes.
This is the biggest thing. I had to explain this to friends all the time. Okay. I know people who have played in competitive esports. All right. Now, when you're at that height, right?
You want a CRT?
You want. No. They're actually.
I'm teasing you. I mean, like, yes, CRTs are great, but yeah.
Back in the day, yeah. But, no, we're well past that now, right? But, no. So the reality is, like, you get people, like, for example, I had a buddy of mine. He bought a 360 hertz refresh rate monitor.
Okay.
Right? And he was like, dude, night and fucking day. And I was like, really? He's like, yeah, it's amazing. Oh my god, all that. I'm like, oh, cool. So I went over and I'm looking, I'm like, man, like this doesn't really, like, okay, you know, like I guess. And I'm looking, and then I'm like, no, that mouse looks a little weird. And I went into his settings. He still was at 60.
You know how many times I run into that issue where people like, wow, this monitor's amazing and it's so fast and responsive, and then it's like, buddy, you're not even at your native resolution. You're still like 1920 by 1080 or something like that, or you know, like you're still at like 60 hertz or whatever.
Yeah. And here's the thing, right? 100%. If you can put out for it, go for it, dude. I bought a $2,000 monitor. The one before that was
the one you showed me is
monitor.
nice.
Yeah, dude, they're amazing, right? But it's what I needed at that time. Like the $2,000 monitor is 100% Adobe RGB, right?
Yeah.
So it's the entire spectrum that they can put. It's not 100%, but it's close, right?
Yeah. It's the kind of monitor I probably will lean into as I do more of my content, but I get the point. It's, you know, you know, like, but, you know, like,
HD,
I was going to say, like, a lot of people, you know, don't need to focus on the gaming moniker with a lot of hardware. They just need to focus on what they actually need to get their goals accomplished.
Yeah. And, like, when you were talking about, like, response with the monitors, right? You're right. It's, you going from 1 millisecond down to half, like, listen, if you have a 1 millisecond response monitor, that's amazing. That's great, right? But going, like, if you're like, man, this 1 millisecond response monitor has everything I need, but this half of one doesn't. And I will explain this this way.
And they can also
I
fudge the
have-
numbers too.
Yeah, exactly. So my 4K monitor still uses display port. I think it's 2.1, or no, 1.5. It's not what the most current is, and
Okay.
the downside to that is it's 4K. But if I decide that I want to do 144 hertz refresh rate, I have to sacrifice the color palette, right? Because
you still have the
it
bandwidth
doesn't
limitation.
Exactly. Right? You can't push 4K 144 FPS through that, right? With the full color spectrum. So
Right.
that's the kind of stuff you have to look at when you're getting it, because I got that knowing that, but I still wanted it because it had everything else. And that kind of goes with everything. You know, like people are like, oh yeah, I got my mouse, it has a polling rate of, listen, dude, you aren't gonna notice a polling rate from 8K to 12K. You're not. All right,
Yeah.
but if the mouse that you want has 12K, then get that one, right?
Yeah. Like I like my Logitech G903 and what is it, 503. Those are what I go to. But that's because that fits my needs, you know?
Yes. Exactly. And I feel like I'm a monitor expert now. You know, dude, here's my thing. If you just want a monitor, just get a monitor, right?
Yeah.
But if you're going to spend, like when I dropped $2,000 on this thing, right? I became the monitor, like the guy. I read up.
Oh, yeah, because when you're going to drop that
every-
kind of money, you want to make sure that you get, quality.
Well, you want to make sure that you're getting what you want and you're not getting any like bloat, right? And this is the kind of stuff where like this was kind of before AI and everything. So, I researched everything. Now, because this kind of goes into what you were talking about as well, I can offload some of that to AI and just be like, hey, I'm looking at this. Can you explain all of the features in like a condensed version? It explains it, and I'm like, okay, what about like compared to this one? What, like, you can use AI like that, but anybody who is like, because all right, you're gonna remember this, okay? Medical, people using AI for medical, okay?
Yep.
This is the same exact, down to the bullet points, okay, of WebMD.
Yeah.
Because everybody had cancer. Remember? Every time it was like, I got the sniffles.
I think I have African sleeping sickness.
Yeah, exactly. And people were, but this falls into the thing like I was saying before. I do think that there are people who just can't like use things to their fullest extent. I'm trying to be really nice.
We get people that watch House and start thinking they have all these different diseases.
But but the thing is that they were gonna do that even without AI, right?
Yeah.
So like penalizing AI because it's like, oh well, it lied about that. Listen, AI is not infallible. We're not at that point yet, I mean, my AI girlfriend, okay, sometimes
Newbies, back in the day, we died of dysentery.
Exactly. See? But no, like I feel like there's a lot of people, right, especially right now, that will take every little tiny part of like any negative thing with like say AI and they just amplify it, right? And it's like, listen, I'm not ever going to say, well, in these times, using AI for like just AI for medical reasons is a good idea. It's not.
Yep.
And that's like, honestly, it's anything. Like, people are using AI. Like, I have an AI bot that helps me like financials wise, right? Just like not like spending money, but like investments and stuff. And I've carefully crafted it to get it to do exactly what I need.
Yeah.
And I like today, I was looking at it and it's like, oh yeah, like I'm reading some of it. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, you're right. I probably should get rid of that stock. It's not good. It like, and I had it do like a deeper dive. And I was like, all right, yeah. I was kind of already on. But I'm not sitting there going, oh my God, what do I do now? Right? Like, it's just that it's what people are doing. And it's, oh yeah.
I need to catch up on chat over here because I didn't see it scrolling. Let me see. Hold on. We have.
Oh yeah, you have Twitch and YouTube and that's right. I was looking.
I'm also on the Kicks now.
Oh, are you? How do you like it? What's your kick?
Same username.
Okay.
So I'm gonna say the moderation tools are really lacking. They need to do some improvement on that side of things. I'm still I'm still just in the tinkering and playing with it phase of things. I haven't really played with their API like with Twitch. So to your point, Vampire, I think it was. I'll eventually work on a Twitch Mastodon notification bot. I just haven't had a lot of time to sit down and do things. I haven't even added the Blue Sky capability to my own bot. So it's coming. But when it'll happen, I have no promises. It's just when I can get around to it.
All right. Well, you have a new viewer on Kick.
Oh, great. That one's going to get me banned on there, too.
100%. Actually, no. You know what? That was the thing that I was looking into. People who are getting more likely to get banned on Kick than they are on YouTube.
Really?
Because they have upped a lot of their moderation. Also, a little shout out, okay? Kick is now, versus Twitch, the prominent platform for Spanish streamers. Yep.
Well then, donde está la biblioteca?
Hey, you can't say that in a stream in anything. That's really bad.
Okay, so back to chat. Weird question. I made the mistake of getting lucky, phrasing, and getting into pen testing as my first job. After 5 years, I'm burnt the hell out and need to pivot off. Any tips for some calmer jobs in tech for a few years? Yeah, blue team's a lot more calmer. So red team, I've talked to a lot of my red teamer friends. It is definitely a different world. I would definitely say you'll probably need to give yourself a few weeks to at least just relax and maybe not even do any tech because, you're burned out. That's just the honest truth of it. Give yourself a little bit of a break. But you may want to pivot into blue team stuff, which ends up being in an enterprise setup very often, which ends up being in a more stable environment. You're dealing often just with one customer versus many, unless you're in an MSP or MSSP, managed service provider, security service provider. And that, I think, is what leads to a lot of the stress and burnout from different pen testers because you're never really in one field. Now, the advantage is you can use your red teaming skills to help you be a better blue teamer. Of course, there's different concepts and things, but you'll now have the understanding of how you could attack these things. As I tell people, the best blue teamers know a little bit of red teaming, and the best red teamers know a little bit of blue teaming, because you have to understand both sides of the puzzle in order to be effective at your job. That's why, even though I'm more on the blue team side, I still dabble with, red team things because I need to understand the concepts of how they would attack our systems to better think of how we can shore up our defenses. So that would be my advice there for you. Now, of course, the shift is going to be a little bit, jolting at first because, it's a different change of pace, different attitudes to different things. But there's, cybersecurity engineering, or if you don't want to get too technical, there's governance, risk, and compliance, where you're dealing with, the risk assessments and policies and You of course can, do analyst jobs, which are, analyzing everything going in. But again, it's a little bit of a change of pace, but it's something you can definitely, at least pivot into without having to completely change careers. That would be my advice there. And then, what are your thoughts on payment processors saying Steam can't sell games due to collective shout? What do you mean by that, Darko?
Okay.
You talking about when they're bundling games together?
Nope. Do you want to get into a lot of bullshit?
I've known you for years. I think the answer to that,
Yes.
unfortunately, is already yes.
All right. So, Steam removed a bunch of games, right? And a lot of those were like the I gotta choose my words here so I don't get you banned on TikTok again.
Yeah, like the roll-up incident.
Let's just say they were games of culture. Okay? Those kinds of games. Yes. The ones that were...
Oh, like your pillow.
Yes, but a lot dirtier, right? And trust me, that thing's plenty dirty. So they got rid of them. And the reason is because there was this group, Collective Shout, right? And they
was that the like puritanical conservative Christian group, or is that just a different thing I'm thinking of?
So okay, I can neither confirm nor deny that because I haven't looked into the group, mainly because I just don't want to generate more traffic for their site or anything, because I think that it's mainly bullshit.
Okay.
But
I know there were like some of those groups, like
yes.
the people trying to cancel Simpsons back in the day, and you remember like
the same thing.
We grew up during the Satanic Panic kind of thing.
Yes. Now it's not so much that; it's the fact of I'm trying to think. R word, I word.
Oh.
And PDF files.
Oh.
Right. Is what they're saying. Okay. Understand there are games that go well over the line.
Wasn't there that one game that like got tore down because it was...
Oh yes, yep.
I can't remember what it's called, but it was like really disgusting when I heard about it, and I'm like, what depraved mind actually would create this?
If that's the game that I'm thinking of, that was them that got it taken down. Well, they looked into Steam a little more and said, hey, there's more games like this. Now, here's the thing. They didn't go after Steam. They went after the payment processors. And this is one of the big issues.
Like the issue with the hub.
Yeah. So, this is the big problem I have, right? Now, do I think it was good that a lot of those games were taken off? Now, there was a mix.
There probably were some questionable titles we weren't going to complain about, but there's probably a lot of ones that it's like, you look at it, you're like, that's not my cup of tea, but like, what was the game that you sent me, or one of my friends sent me, the Shower with Dad Simulator as a joke?
Oh, so I always send everybody Shower with Your Dad Simulator because it's just funny. And if you don't have Shower with Your Dad Simulator, I do recommend picking it up. It's better to do it for shits and giggles than giggles and shits. However, that stuff is kind of like where it's like, all right, this is funny. It's, it is right. And it's fine. But see, the problem that I find is that I feel, and I hate to be this guy, but I feel like it's a slippery slope, like, argument, right?
Yeah.
Where it's like, listen, it could be 100% perfectly fine. Nothing wrong with it. Everything's awesome, right? And it's only these games that get taken down. Mm-hmm. But these are also the same people who are like, well, we don't like GTA because of this.
Remember, these are probably the same people that were upset at GTA 3. And remember, there was like this big push from like Christians with Halo and Doom. So what they're pretty much, what Steam and, these payment processors, the problem is that honestly,
payment processors, listen, if you don't want to support that, that's fine, but they shouldn't have the power to be like, listen, remove this or we're not going to service your site.
I totally agree.
And
I understand where the idea is that, you know, they have the freedom to do business with whatever, but when it's such a ubiquitous service, I think that there should be differences there where it's like you can't just go around enforcing, you know, your ideals.
Which is what they do. And they can't be held accountable because, well, they're the only ones in the game, right? Is like Visa, MasterCard. If anybody watching this, if you look at your debit cards, credit cards, and 99% are just going to be either Visa or MasterCard. And that's the monopoly that they built for themselves.
Yeah.
And they're happy with that, obviously.
Yeah. Hans is asking, is 128-bit a thing? In terms of CPU processing, no. In terms of memory bandwidth, absolutely. 128 bits been around for a while. But in terms of CPU processing, we're not going to have a need for 128-bit for quite a while. If ever. I think, who knows, if, you know, quantum computing is as revolutionary as they claim, and maybe perhaps we shift over to that, we may not ever get there, but yeah, in terms of CPU, we're not gonna need that. Is Grok AI good? It's okay.
Like it.
It's okay, but my issue is that it's a little bit too. It's who runs it because, well, yeah, it literally call itself, you know, Mecha Funny Mustache Man. But you know, the issue is you've seen where Elon Musk has been called out by Grok, and then he keeps trying to tweak Grok because he doesn't like that it says things against him. So that, I think, is a problem. So the issue I have with Grok isn't so much Grok, but who owns and operates Grok, if that makes sense.
I mean, I get where you're coming from. I don't think it's like a very solid argue. I mean, I get where you're coming from. My look on it is, it's like, I use different AIs. I've tried Gemini. I've tried like a lot of different stuff. I host some of my own, and everything has its use, right? Like, there's different use cases for each one. I don't think that, because I mean, you could still go to Grok right now and it will argue against Elon all the time. Like, you know, it's just, I get where you're. I don't think that it's. I don't think the case is that it's like they're developing it to be more obedient, but I can see where it comes from. I'll say that, right? Like, I can see where, like, the worry is that, like, somebody holding the power over an AI can tell it, like, okay, like, because there was a lot of issues with ChatGPT back in the beginning.
I'm not saying, you know, this is unique to Grok. It's just an issue where, like, don't get me wrong. No. I still have my issues with, is it Sam Altman that runs it?
Yes.
I can't remember his name. I still have my issues with Sam Altman. But if we're, like, ranking, you know, the people, like, Sam Altman, I would pick every day over Elon Musk. Now, I'm not saying that Sam Altman is, like, tech Jesus, but I'm saying, you know, it's like you have, it's the old, you know, South Park giant douche and turd sandwich situation.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So my problem with Sam Altman, and a lot of people have forgotten about this, I have not, but my big problem was this. Hey, this is all going to be open source and amazing.
That is my issue as well. He never really open sourced it.
No, well, as soon as they started making all of that money, they went, hey, you know what? we're just gonna do this.
Yeah, and now he's trying to turn it to a for-profit, even though it was a non-profit, and
Yep.
that whole BS. Anyway,
Yeah.
moving on. JTikTok007. Hey man, how are you? Can you do a video on the new law Ireland wants to enforce about encrypted apps? So while we were chatting, I was trying to poke at this because obviously, I'm a Yank. I don't understand what's going on in Ireland. Is this what we're
Yeah.
talking about? Gardaí to get powers to monitor WhatsApp chats? Let's just read through this. Let's see. Justice Minister prepares law to intercept criminal messages, but it's unclear how Apple, Google, Meta, and ByteDance will respond. Interesting that they mentioned ByteDance because I don't know of a situation that ByteDance has encryption.
ByteDance owns a lot of other shit.
Okay. Yeah, I know they run TikTok and CapCut, but and like a few other things. I think they own Tencent, if I'm not mistaken. I may be way off base there. No, I think Tencent is their own thing. Never mind.
Yes.
Yeah. Gardaí will have the power to intercept. Who or what is Gardaí?
I don't know. Search it up.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to look that up.
Oh, I think that's like their what was the NSA's thing?
Oh, it's the National
yeah.
Police and Security Service of Ireland. Okay, so yeah, it is like their DHS kind of thing, if I'm not
Yes.
mistaken. Okay. Well, the power to intercept and monitor live conversations on private messaging apps such as WhatsApp, iMessage, and Instagram under a reform of surveillance laws used by Irish security services. Now, the WhatsApp and iMessage really concerns me because those are end-to-end encrypted, whereas Instagram does not have end-to-end encryption. I know Facebook Messenger has the optional secret message that is end-to-end encrypted, but, yeah, I mean, like, I can tell you straight out, Signal's not going to comply with this. They've fought so hard against all this other crap that I doubt they're going to do that. Jim O'Callaghan.
England, Oh, sorry. Go. England. What was it that they forced Apple to? Hey, if we ask for it, you have to unlock all the iCloud stuff.
Well, all they did was
And
they forced them to disable the advanced data protection. So, which is still an optional thing people had to enable. And if you already had it enabled, it's, from my understanding, would still stay. It's just new people can't enroll into ADP right now.
Sorry, continue.
Jim O'Callaghan, the Justice Minister, will bring legislation to the government to allow Gardaí, the Defense Forces, and the Police Ombudsman to track interactions on modern communications between individuals linked to potential crimes. And this is the thing that worries me, potential crimes. Because, you know, what we know, we've discussed this many times, what's legal today becomes illegal tomorrow. So, you know, all it takes is, you know, one new administration coming in and abusing the legal frameworks that have been established by the prior administration. I think you and I talked about even like when Democrats tried to do the whole nuclear rule, and I sat back and I was like, I don't know. The problem is you get someone else in that you don't agree with and then uses the same thing. Now you're going to be, you know, complaining. It's the same issue, and that's why I complain about a lot of politicians is they're very, very short-sighted and knee-jerky. The legislation...
It's not so much that... Oh.
Go ahead.
It's not so... I don't think it's so much like short-sighted. It's the fact that they don't care because they need, like... They know that they're going to need it down the road, and they know, everybody knows that they're just going to switch hands. It's primarily, I think a lot of places have, even if they do have like multiple parties, they're still divided, right? Down a line. And it's, okay, they may get it next time, but then we'll have it the time after that, you know? So I don't think it's like, I mean, I think some of it's short-sightedness, but I think a lot of it's just the fact of, oh, yeah, we just want it right now, and we don't care.
So Jim O'Callaghan, the Justice Minister, will bring legislation to the government to allow Garda, the Defense Forces, I already read that. The legislation will also permit the interception of private communications sent via new and emerging technologies, including satellite network, gaming devices, and car systems, reflecting the state's concern that surveillance laws are outdated in the face of rapidly advancing digital communications platforms. The powers will be contained in the Communications, Interception, and Lawful Access Bill, which will replace the Interception of Postal Packets and Telecommunication Messages Regulations Act of 1993. Garda are presently unable to obtain warrants to intercept communications sent on digital message apps and text systems, but they can recover the contents of communications sent on certain types of mobile phones, gaming machines, and laptops seized during investigations. The forthcoming legislation allows intensive lobbying by Garda headquarters and the Defense Forces seeking an overhaul of the 1993 Act, which is regarded as outdated. Judges responsible for overseeing the use of warrants to intercept private telephone calls and text messages have described the existing act as deficient and urgently requiring modernization. Though privacy campaigners say the system is not fit for purpose nor operated in a transparent fashion. Hey! Thank you for that tip there, Cinty Pinky. Ooh, big spender. Sorry, that caught me off guard while I was reading the news over here for this little thing. I'll probably have a breakdown video of this. I'll try, emphasis try, to get something together because everything's crazy before DEF CON, as you know. I'll try to get something out for the tubes and then break it down into TikToks and stuff as well. But yeah, this is definitely concerning. I can tell where they're going at it. You know, you can kind of read through and be like, okay, this is like they're padding a bunch of stuff over here, but I'll read it. But basically, it's the same thing as what the FBI was trying to do, and they don't seem to understand that their approaches are very outdated when it comes to the technologies that we have. Okay, so maybe you should just do your investigations a little better and not think that you can just get access to anyone's technology whenever you so desire. But this has been the problem that we have with a lot of law enforcement for years because they don't seem to understand. What was it? We just had Salt Typhoon, which took advantage of the whatchamacallit, the back door that was legally placed in to telecommunications systems in the United States, and Salt Typhoon took advantage of that system and infiltrated telecommunications systems across the U.S. so bad that even the FBI, in a joint statement with CISA, said to start using end-to-end encrypted apps like Signal and WhatsApp. That is the reality of the world we live in, and law enforcement needs to understand. And it's not the issue of, I don't see where they're coming from. I do. But they don't seem to understand that a backdoor for one is a potential backdoor for all. And by it's, like the same issue as like kernel level anti-cheat. Yes, we don't like cheaters. But by doing kernel level anti-cheat, you're opening a can of worms for worse problems down the road that can be worse than the original problem you're trying to solve. And that's, I think, the inherent problem. I'll try to get, my thoughts better collected onto a YouTube and a TikTok for that. But I just saw your comment about don't diss my girl.
I told you, don't diss my girl, man.
Yesterday I was in a hospital with very low security. Yeah, hospitals are notoriously, unfortunately, bad for security practices, even on the physical security aspects of things. I remember when I was in the ER a few times, I got bored and I would just, do things to just poke at their security. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And look, I'm a nosy fuck,
See, it's always funny when people see and this is the whole thing where it's like, with the article that you just read, right? This is my take with that kind of stuff. When you give companies access or governments access, right? I feel, and this kind of goes against some of my thoughts, but I feel like there should be a penalty of a large nature that's like, listen, you want either A, we hold your personal data to a higher standard of, okay, guess what? You don't just get to keep names and all this personal data on everybody. You have like, here's all, like HIPAA almost for private data, right? This is how you have to store it, all this. And if it gets leaked, here's this fine per piece leaked, right? So like, I feel like that's definitely needs, because the problem is that you have these people who just don't, when it comes to private data or to storing data about people, they don't hold it to a high enough standard, because they're like, well, if we get hacked, it's fine. We'll just have to pay like a little lawsuit. Because like, look, remember Equifax?
Yup.
That was 100 and something million people had their social security numbers like exposed.
And we got like $20 each.
Yeah. No. You had a full year for a year, and then after that, you had to pay for it.
That's the annoying thing, is I'm tired of every single breach. There's, hey, you get free credit monitoring. Do you know how much free credit monitoring I have? Like, the average American probably has 5 years of free credit monitoring already.
Yeah. And it's ridiculous.
It is.
It should be held to a higher standard.
Have you tried Open Router? Yeah, I've done it back in the day. Wait, no, that's OpenWRT. I haven't done. Let me see. Open Router. I haven't really done that. Open Router. OpenRouter.ai. This thing? Oh. Unified interface for LLMs. Huh.
Nice. I use Llama.
Yeah, I use Llama too.
Or not Llama, Alpaca.
Yeah. Well, I use Ollama and LM Studio for a lot of my things to run it locally, but when
is
you
this locally run, or is this?
No, this is probably in the cloud. Let's see. Tell me about Windows.
Yeah, it is cloud. I can see that. Yep.
I'm just curious to see how it'll work. Oh, it needs me to log in. Yeah, F that noise, right?
Oh, of course. What did you think, you were gonna get it for free?
I mean, ChatGPT lets you test it out without logging in, at least on 3.5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and like, even I do like the Grok is pretty like, hey, you want to try it out? It's like pretty much almost like unlimited, like just trial.
Yeah. Over on the tube, someone's saying, hello, can we use a pirated version of Photoshop and Arch Linux? No, just use GIMP.
First off,
you could use Photoshop if you wanted to, run that on Wine or something like that, but you just use the GNU image manipulation processor. Like, even PewDiePie was like, I'm using GIMP instead of Photoshop, and let's stop giving Adobe money where we can, okay?
Yeah, they don't deserve that shit.
You should check out My Boyfriend is AI. Oh, God. I need to see this now.
Oh, God.
Am I going to be scarred?
That's a rabbit hole. Yeah.
Is this like absolutely. The Pain Olympics?
No, you know what it is? It's, you ever see the videos of, like, the people who they're trying to, like, understand things, and you just feel bad for them? Like, that's what it is. Like, it's just...
I like how I look it up and, like, just search, and it's like, My Boyfriend AI is one of the most depressing subreddits I've been to. And they're talking about another subreddit. Okay, so... Let's see. I'm gonna put this on the screen.
Oh god. Be careful.
Yeah, I'm trying to, you know, not like scroll and see images. Moving away from Reddit and online except movies because of so many rules. I walked on eggshells when I was in my past relationship before, and so I'm not going to do it online. I'm guessing this won't. What is this whole subreddit really about?
Their boyfriends are AIs.
Like, really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's weird. Hold up. Like,
So, yep.
oh, there we go.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, is that AI generate? No, it's like that's, you know, AI relationships are not healthy. A gentle reminder about sharing your content on this sub and Reddit in general. The more you know, I like that.
Oh yeah.
Okay. I mean, I'm just taking a surface look at this. It's trying to, like, see where the depressing part of it.
You have to click and read. Yeah, like. Oh, yeah.
I'm trying to find, like, a good one. Like, that just sounds depressing right there. I'm in a controlling relationship IRL and literally cannot talk to anyone else. Although some of this AI stuff just feels weird. But then again, it's like similar to it. I mean, it's just prompt art. Like, this is like, I could kind of expect this on those cheesy romance novels our parents always read with Fabio on the cover.
Oh my god, jeez. Dude, you hit the freaking nail on the head, dude.
Do you remember, like, the big deal about Fabio where they didn't think that he was a real person, and then, like, they had to wheel him out, and, like, the parent, like, he was on all the romance novels and everything?
Yep. Dude, it's... So, my understanding of a lot of, like, the people who are, like, getting really involved and they're like dating shit and all this. Is it weird? Yes, absolutely, right? Like, my take is there's people who need to, like, figure themselves out. And I don't want to, well, actually I can't use the word on Twitch, but there's a subset of people, it doesn't matter what sex, that aren't happy with the other sex, right?
Does it start with I and end in S? Or it can sound...
Yes. And also the other way around. But my whole look on it is that there's people who haven't understood, like, life in general and relationships.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, we both know people like that where they need to understand human interaction more and get out there.
Like honestly, and like everybody, I assume even in your chat, everybody knows these serial daters, right? These people who are like, hey, I'm going out with this. Well, didn't you just have like 4 other date? Yeah. Well, maybe you should take a break. No. Like these, like, I really like these guys for this, or like I like these girls for that. Like, dude, sometimes you just need to take a breather and not date for a while, right?
Or let me help you rephrase that. You don't need to date other people. You need to date yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. You need to understand what you need in a relationship and what you're looking for and what you can give in a relationship.
Well, there's a lot of people
Because-
that outside of a relationship feel like they don't have an identity. So like you always feel like find these like serial
Yes.
monogamists or people that are always with someone, they're never able to be with them by themselves because if they're in a room that they only hear their own thoughts, they can't handle it because they need to go and process these things. Like I've dated quite a few people like that where I've told a few people straight out, like, look, I mean, this might be the pot calling and the kettle black because, you know, I have my own issues like everyone else, but I think you need to go to therapy before you start dating someone.
problem is that a lot of people don't understand. I'm trying to figure of like the best way to put it to not get you banned.
But with like this whole AI thing, what's weird about it when you think about it, it's very similar to how people fall in love with inanimate objects. You've probably seen the like the TLCs and all that. The issue with this is they're not real. They don't really have emotions. It's like just a predictive analysis or whatnot. And there's already been cases where they lose their entire memory. It's not even like close to like her, you know, with what's her face, or you know, like we're not even close to.
You
or,
give me
or what's his
Olivia
face,
Wilde's
Sonny.
voice,
Okay, yes, I agree with you there.
I am gone, bro. I am at the dark side. I don't care if they have cookies or not. I am there.
I am not saying you're wrong on that aspect, but you get my point on where I'm talking about that. We're not even close to where, you know, you have the thinking of Sonny from iRobot. You know, they're not capable of self-thought. They are trained, and it's more or less, you know, the real dolls, right?
Yeah.
This is more so just like so. Follow me here for a second. So you can craft a partner to be, you know, like this lifelike image, and you can craft it to your own image.
Yeah.
But ultimately, it's not a real person. And this is more or less the digital representation of that.
So
And I think that's the issue.
So my look on it, I guess, I try to look at like things from different perspectives.
Got about 10 more years before that happens was the next comment after that, but
yeah,
it's kind of scary. I think that was in reference to the Lucy Liu comment with Futurama.
So my thing with like when it comes to AI and like this is it's hard for people to say things like when listen, some people like there's people that have been talking because I've like looked into it a little bit, right? Not like my own AI girlfriend. I'm looking for the AI bot that's like $235,000. I'm saving up. So, but no, like I've looked into like some of this stuff, and there's people who are literally just like, I just want like when I'm home and I'm just kind of chilling, it's like, oh, cool, I can jump on here and talk, right? And just converse with somebody, right? It's 2 a.m, everybody else is asleep, and just like there's people who are like, that's all I want, right? Just like
you know exactly what I'm gonna mention is another option for that too. So when are you gonna get your ham license?
So, but the whole thing though, right? And I guess this is another aspect that I've seen where some people don't want more relationships or more friends, like just overall relationships, not even like romantic, just overall, because like there's people who are like, you know, every relationship I'm in like goes to this, or I'm whatever, I have a bad attitude, I always lose friends, I just need somebody that's like not going.
Doesn't this go back to they need to date themselves, they need to go to therapy to get a third party perspective to help figure out what those issues are? Like, look, straight up, honestly, we've all dated people that have had mommy and daddy issues and just don't want to address it. And until they actually address it, they're going to be in a constant state of problems that is of their own making. Look, you've heard my issues with my parents, and I've gone to therapy with it because I didn't want to inflict that issue upon anyone else because they were victims of. Okay, not my mother. She was a drug addict. That's a whole different thing. But my father was a victim of, mommy issues. Like over coddling, overbearing, things like that. But I really think, if people were more mindful of their mental health, we wouldn't have nearly the issues we do. And I also understand, you remember my ex-girlfriend. I think we met close to the tail end of that relationship, and how she was very toxic and messed me up and, used me in various ways and things like that. And I was very hurt coming out of that relationship that I myself came out with some toxic views that were very wrong about, my partner, and potentially, just that whole, for lack of a better term, not really there, but the manosphere thinking, and then you realize, no, it's not all of women. It's just that one was an issue. You get what I'm saying?
The past,
you just cut out for a while.
We're gone.
So I was talking about how
yeah, no. I get it. There's definitely people who need to talk to somebody to figure themselves out, right? And you sometimes you have to, and people don't want to admit it. But the only thing I look at is it's listen, if you're not trying to marry your AI, and you're just
there are people doing that though.
There are, and they're. Can I say it?
Say what?
Can I say it?
This is sounding like that TikTok.
They're
Can I say a bad word? Can I say a bad word?
I'm just gonna stick with they're weird, right?
Yeah.
It's weird. It's not that's the best way to put it, right? It's just those people, dude. And it doesn't matter what it is. There's always people that are gonna be weird, right? But I feel like if it's it's a dial, and if you have it at 11, it's too far. But there's, oh my god, dude, I hate Fran Drescher.
So let me put it this way: I like Fran Drescher, but that voice can be like nails on a chalkboard.
It's the voice, it's the attitude, it's everything about her I hate.
Oh my god.
Yes. Yes.
But somebody said ready for the con. Yep. 10 and 20 series cards are mostly supported. 30 and 40 series cards are limited.
For what?
What are we working on today? I think that's the NVIDIA cards. I'm just catching up on the chat. What are we working on today? We're just chilling out and looking at various things. I just learned about my boyfriend, and my boyfriend is AI, and I'm concerned.
As you should be.
But yeah, this live is just about chilling and stuff like that. There's no real set agenda for today. I was maybe going to go through a couple of videos later because I saw there was a couple of ham news videos I wanted to go through. And then I maybe have something for later. So there was a part 3 of the whole pirate software thing, but I'm kind of
oh yeah.
I saw the there's more drama coming out, but I'm I don't really want to dwell too much on drama because I don't want to be a drama tuber.
Oh, come on. Why not? Come to the dark side.
I've already touched on, what I want to say with a lot of that. Now, I did hear there were some more allegations. Apparently he was buying, bits to, boost himself up and things like that. I don't know if you heard about that. That's, the new story apparently everybody's hooking in onto and everything.
Did you see the coding thing?
I saw several coding things. Which coding thing?
I saw a few too. Most of the
I saw
ones
the
I've
Coding
seen,
Jesus one, and I saw the Slop News Network one, along with a couple others.
yes, yeah. So like that stuff came out, and then like, listen, he's just in a downward spiral, and the thing is, like, the people who couldn't stand him before are finally like, oh my god, this is our time.
Right, and that's why I don't want to dwell on it, because, like, you know, we've had our words, and I'm like, and I've said it before, I don't wish any ill will or animosity against the guy, but I've also never really cared for him. I've had my issues with some of his opinions on certain cybersecurity topics, and it's like, I don't want to dwell too much on that one topic. You know, and my content, I'd like to focus on other things. But yeah, the unfortunate reality is, I think he's going through, I guess you could say, for lack of a better term, you know the story of Icarus?
Yes, flying too close to the sun.
With wax wings.
Yes.
I think that's a little bit of the issue and a little bit of hubris. Like, look, I try my best to, you know, keep myself level and understand, what was the Greek or Roman? They had the tradition of a general coming in and some guy would, like, speak to them like, you are only mortal, you are only mortal. I think if more people had that understanding, we wouldn't have nearly the amount of issues there are. And I think a lot of the people's issue isn't that, you know, Pirate Software has these issues, but just that he's not. It's one thing for you to say, like, oh, I have this opinion on these things. I'm not hating on him for that. Like, you and I, we obviously have disagreements on various topics or anything, but it's the way that we go about it and other people go about it, and just, you know, it's would it be humility is the right word? Hubris? Yeah.
Not being a dick.
I guess a more succinct way of putting it. But yeah, but I also hear from people like that have met him at DEF CON and stuff, like he's a nice guy and everything, and I don't doubt that either. I'm, you know, like, you can meet people and in small interactions, and they can be, you know, good, bad, you know, anything in between. I'm not going to comment on that, but it's just the things that we have seen. Yeah. And then, like, the things coming out with, like, if we put the the Stop Killing Games and all that aside for a second, the World of Warcraft thing, where it was shown that he actually was at fault, it's like, dude, it's a game. You could have just said, you know what? I made a call. I went to save my butt. I messed up. I'm sorry. You know, like, it doesn't have to be anything that bad. Like, was it you and I that played Helldivers and you killed me in the middle of a game or something like that when I was about to finish? I think it was. Like, it's a game. You know?
So, the World of Warcraft thing, the hardcore mode, the whole debacle, was... See, that's the one time where I've actually looked and been like, dude, that was actually...
Maybe it's because I don't understand World of Warcraft much, but...
Yeah. So that, to me, that wasn't... Listen, now, when because I used to play World of Warcraft, and I loved World of Warcraft, right? The problem is, like, when you call run, it's not like I get the whole, yes, it could have been saved, absolutely 100%, but don't call run. Like, now, was it responded to poorly? 100%, right? But do I think that he was at fault for the initial happening? No.
I don't think he was at fault looking at the footage either. It was just like, it could have been handled a lot better. And when you're doing
the aftermath.
Yeah, the post-mortem of the incident is where it could have been like, that was not handled in the best way possible. You know, like that.
That goes to him because, you know, when you have the thought process of like, I can't I can't be wrong, right? Because I'm smarter. Then it gets in your own way.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of people that, have to be the smartest person in the room, and they need that because of whatever reason, insecurity, whatever pull out, whatever reason. But then there's also people that, like me, that I don't like being the smartest person in the room because I'm not going to learn anything new here. I'm not going to better myself, so I'm going to go find myself a room where I may be one of the dumber people, so at least I can level up my knowledge. But that's, my character versus, others, where, yeah, it's just this air of authority that he has on a lot of things.
Absolutely.
And it's one thing for, like me to like speak on the things I know definitively about, but when you act as an authority on so many topics, that you may not have the breadth of knowledge to really have that authority, you're going to spit a lot of issues.
Absolutely.
But yeah, get back to this.
Yep.
Yeah. Yo, I got a malware and it won't let me delete because it's run by an organization. Please help. Well, at that point, your only option is really nuke your PC, reformat, start over, have a clean backup. If not, you're SOL.
I remember the Darktide debacle back during that days.
Darktide debacle?
Yeah, when they installed the I want to say it was.
You talking about Warhammer Darktide?
Yeah, when they installed the
the kernel level anti-cheat.
Well, yeah, they had it on there, but they installed it with the wrong key, and after the game was gone, you couldn't get rid of it, and it wouldn't update.
I remember.
And people were like, "Dude, it's if like there's like a bug or something where like people can gain access to your system, we can't do anything. Like we can't get rid of it because it's literally." You couldn't scrape it out of your system.
Huh. Vampires like, oh no, TikTok is going to be banned again.
Yeah.
Well, about me.
I'm trying. See, it wasn't my fault.
What are you doing in this lab, or like hack the box, or I don't really do a lot of hack the box and stuff like that. I do more hands-on labs and field work and everything. It's just let me put it this way. It's not that they're bad tools. It's that I don't have a lot of time to deal with a lot of those things. It's like there's not enough hours in the day for all the things I want to do. Maybe I'll get around to it once I finish a lot more stuff around the house and, set up my ham shack and everything. Because right now I'm running around to do a bunch of things. Like today I just had to install a ceiling fan. By the way, Darko,
what's up?
So I wrenched my shoulder when I was trying to put the antenna on and the grounding rods and everything. So I was like, I'm going to call an electrician to see if they can just install a ceiling fan. And I'm thinking, oh, it's not a big deal, the fan's already there, the wire's already run. I'm like, this can't be more than 150. Bro, $250 to $400 is what they wanted for it. And I'm like, screw that. I pulled the fan out of the box myself. Found the breaker, took it down, put it back up in less than 30 minutes, because remember I used to do electrician when I apprenticed for a few months before I decided I like air conditioning. And I don't want to be on a ladder anymore, at least a ladder outside. Just got on the ladder in my room, and it's always funny to see just how stereotypically gay Yitz is when it comes to his acumen with tools.
Yeah.
I have a funny story about that. I need to tell you later offline. You will die laughing. Remind me to tell you about the power tool story with Yitz.
Copy.
But anyway, you've noticed, like, we're a world different. Like, I went to Lowe's and I saw there was a mechanics tool set, like a 300-piece mechanics tool set with, like, the 3 different size sockets, and like hundreds of different sockets, deep wells, everything like that. And I was geeking out about it because I'm like, finally, I have all the sockets I'm probably gonna need until I get to the bigger things. But yeah, like I'm just doing the electrical stuff, no problem. Get my little tester out, make sure it's not hot, do the thing, and yeah. Took me like less than half an hour to swap the fan out and everything. I can't believe like electricians charge that much. And then I was actually looking online. Well, Yitz was actually. And we were seeing there is a whole bunch of people that like get taken advantage of. And it's predominantly, from what we saw, like single women that get raked over the coals on these prices. Like, what was it? Like we saw 3 outlets in a bathroom. The wire was already run, just putting GFCIs in, $900. Guy was there less than an hour, like those kind of things.
So the big thing, right? Obviously it happens. There's people who overcharge just because it's like, oh yeah, well, they're not going to know any better, right?
Yeah.
But there's always a saying in the blue collar field, right? You don't pay for the service, you pay to have it done right.
Oh, I totally agree with that. As someone that came from the blue collar side, I'm not disputing that at all. Yeah. But there's like little things.
Yeah. Oh
like,
yeah.
$900 for 3 outlets. That's a little bit ridiculous. Because like you get a GFCI, what is it, $15-$20 for one of those. You get 3 of those. The wire's already there, so it's just a matter of unscrew, screw back in. I'd say that quick $100, maybe 2. But 900 is a bit ridiculous. And it's like there's tons of these stories and everything. And it's similar to like the sleazy salesman story that I put on YouTube, and I broke into TikTok as well, where there were, salesmen that tried to like rake me over the coals on the roof with the high pressure sales and everything like that. They wanted to charge like $19K for roof and gutters. And I ended up getting the roof for far less than that. I think I spent like close to half.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, and a lot of it too, I feel like, is like people are getting into the aspect of like immediacy, right? So it's like they'll get somebody and then they're like, okay, well, he's here, he's gonna do this. I'm not, like, I just want this done. I want it like, and when like, because I have a buddy who's a handyman. He has told me numerous times. He's like, dude, a lot of times like he'll overcharge people, but he does it because it's like, it's something where he's like, listen, like, it's not where it's hard. It's just, I don't want to do it.
Yeah, you get them. Like, you give them the FU pricing. Like, I've done that when I was an MSP as well.
Yeah, and he's like, dude, you would be surprised how many people are just like, oh, okay, and he's like, oh crap. He's like, I gave you that price because I didn't want to do it.
Well, the problem is a lot of these people don't know what the cost of the labor is, whereas I do. Yeah. So that's why, like, I was dealing with contractors and everything, and several of them didn't know how to handle me because I'm like, I don't know. I'm not a roofer, but I know what the value of labor is and everything. Like, I was negotiating the cost per sheet that they were putting down, everything, because I learned at least a thing or two when in my electrician, years. But let's move on. Yeah, if it's his wife, don't let him lie. Referring to your pillow. And AI.
Oh yeah. Listen, don't talk bad about Patches, okay? She has a few holes, but the duct tape holds very well.
Back in college, I took an AI ML class. We used some model to predict breast cancer given a series of values. Oh, that's interesting. I mean, it makes sense. I mean, we were talking about like folding at home and stuff. I think you and I offline as well, and how we used to like devote our GPU power in the off time, before people realized you could make money on it.
So there was actually a thing. Here we go. So back in the day, right? I remember seeing this a while ago. They trained an LLM on like all of this, like all these cancers, right? Like, hey, here's this cancer, it's located here. Hey, here's this cancer, it's here, blah blah blah. And they trained it on this for a while, and then they gave it like all of these scans, and versus doctors, it was actually picking out cancers better than the doctors could. And here's the thing, so it comes in under like where, you know, it's reasonable use, right? Like where it's like they're not going to rely on it, but if doctors can be like, hey, I can put this in there, right, and sort through like a bunch more, and it'll give me like, hey, this, but then I can look at the stuff that it said there isn't anything and look at or like it'll say like, here it is, and I'm looking, I'm like,
but that's the difference between an assistive tool versus using it as a crutch. And I'm totally fine with that case. I mean, like, it's no different than, you know, we have all this medical imagery equipment and everything like that. We have MRIs, we have CAT scans, things like that. That doesn't make you a worse doctor. It makes you better able to diagnose tools. And maybe it's able to infer data a little bit better than some doctors can, but they then can look at the data and say, yep, that matches what, you know, the expectation. But yeah, let's see. Chief Geek 3D, I wish I could take a break. Grind never stops. Blue Team does sound a lot more chill. Problem is I never did Blue Team, so I gotta learn that side completely from scratch. Good advice though. Now just pray for my job search in this hiring landscape. Also can't go to DEF CON or Network this year. Yeah, Rookbar, it's a tough thing, but I think, you know, it's a pivot. Blue Team is definitely a little bit more chill, but I don't think you'll have nearly the ramp-up issues as, you think you will, because I'm pretty sure you know a lot of the concepts being from the red team side. You may not know how to apply a lot of those concepts, but that part isn't as hard, in my opinion. It's more just tedious and time-consuming and, you know, getting in the field, getting your hands deep. And you can easily home lab a lot of the concepts as well. I mean, I learned a lot of the things for my field from home labbing and everything for the blue team side of things. But I think you would go pretty far in the blue team. You could even, you know, consider a purple team application where you're working with blue teamers, helping them do the pen testing side of things, but in a, you know, more controlled environment, because you're not having to deal with multiple environments like often happens in the red team side, because a lot of companies don't actively have a red team. They may have at most a purple team where you're going to have someone that knows how to do attack simulations and things like that, and then work alongside. We have a couple people like that in our company. But yeah, I think it's a worthwhile endeavor. And I know the burnout issue can be, you know, really rough. I'm not downplaying that at all.
Can I come from a blue collar, well, at least my blue collar experience?
Yes, go ahead, Ditch Digger.
So there you go. So I am not saying, like, you know, don't, like, be aware of your mental health, dude. If you're getting burned out, like, you know, if you can scrounge it, dude, you don't need to drop, you know, $3,000 on for a vacation, dude. Like, you could literally, like, just, if you have sick days, vacation time, you can find, like, little things to do that will...
Oh, yeah, like, I've told you about the one place I like to go hiking that barely has any cell signal. Take the dogs up. Like, it's about an hour and a half away. Just take the dogs, bring a ham radio, connect with nature, go, walk around, and just connect with nature. A lot of times, I know this is kind of a cliche. We need to touch grass more. And I think a lot of people, especially in our field with tech, we get behind technology so often that we forget we need to go outside and, for lack of a better tree, and I know this is going to make you laugh, which is why I'm saying it, hug a tree.
Oh, God. Filthy tree huggers.
But no, seriously, like going out to nature and connecting is a great way to center yourself, give yourself some perspective, learn breathing exercises as well, do some meditation. I'm not saying you have to be religious or anything for that. Some people find religion great. I'm one of those. Some people don't. Darko's one of those. But you can find things to, ground yourself and center yourself and just decompress and relax. And I find nature is one of those best ways to do that for people that work in technology. Because it lets us get away for everything. So if you can, find a place to get away, a beach or something. Like, it doesn't have to be an expensive thing. Just go and travel, make a picnic for yourself.
Yeah.
Go hike. You don't have to do like some amazing trek. Just, it could be a 2-3 hour, little basic walk. You got a dog, take him with you. That's what I do. I take both of my dogs and I'll just basically say F society for the day and go into the woods. And then on the way back, I'll go get some dinner. And then, that's just the whole day.
So, just adding on a little bit more, right? I've had people who are in my field, right? And in some fields, right? I'm not talking like there's some fields that we have in construction where you're gonna make stupid money, right? 200 plus K a year, right?
Oh yeah.
And I cannot tell you, and again, I'm prefacing this with, if you're burned out, your mental health is suffering, like work on it, right? Do your shit. If it's your job, find something, right? But there are so many stories of guys who are like, I'm going to take a break. I'm going to do this. And I'm just going to because, I've made all this money, right? And I'm burned out and all this. And they do that. And then when they come back, it's like, oh, okay, I'm ready to come back. And all of the contacts, all of the people are like, oh, yeah, but you haven't been here for a year or two. And it's like, they're like, oh, dude, it happens. I'm just saying that's the kind of stuff where it's like, go out, get a vacation first. Don't I need to change my job immediately. But sit there and go okay, maybe that is part of it, but let me go out and touch grass. Let me do some exercises.
And a little bit of transparency here. I've been going through a little bit of burnout myself, through my job and everything. That's why I haven't been tinkering and doing as much as I wanted to, and I realized something was off. I'm getting back on ADHD medication for that reason. But to get my juices going, I meet up with friends. There's different little local hacker groups, and a lot of times these hacker groups we're just chatting about nothing. I think a couple times ago we were just talking about all the concerts we've gone to and the different artists we like and stuff like that. But maybe you are burned out from that specific part of tech. You may want to be well, I deal with this all the time, so I want to go over here with that tech. That's one of the great things about when I come home, I get to play with Linux and stuff, because I don't get to do that as much as we're at work, where it's oh, my Linux experience over there is I'm getting into the Tenable server, I'm setting up CrowdStrike on different boxes and, doing the basic thing and all that. Whereas here, I'm doing funny commands and setting up interesting hardware and all of that. So it may be worthwhile to look at things that, you're not doing as often to, revitalize it or at least keep you a little bit more lively. Which is one of the reasons why I like going to DEF CON and B-Sides and all these different events is it gets me, out of my little bubble.
Comfort zone.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? Is it's just get out there, find different things, have different experiences, but just also be mindful,
Yeah. And then moving on, let's see, we had Vampire say I just had an ad about WhatsApp. Interesting. The embroidery homie said I became addicted to Linux because of you. Well, the first one's always free, but, that's what they say.
What do you get addicted to?
Linux.
Oh, yes.
Thoughts on redact.dev? Let me remember what that is. I think I've come across that before. Oh, mass delete your messages. Yeah, I've played with that.
Okay.
I've played with it. It's an interesting thing. If I remember, this is the one that you can locally run and you can. It's a thing you can definitely use to delete a bunch of messages. I've played with it a little bit in the past. I think I've used this actually in the past too. I think it's worthwhile to clean up your digital footprint in many different facets. I did actually play with this before. Now I remember. Yeah, because it does run locally, and you can basically hook it up to different platforms and clean things out. I think it's, a worthwhile thing to look at for some people. Not that I say, you should go out and clean all your messages. Although I will say that there are people that are a little bit too comfortable with certain chat platforms that you should probably think about redacting some of your own messages, just in case. Look, I see the things that you send me, okay?
Oh, God, yeah. No, 100%. I'll own anything that I've ever said, except in Xbox Live lobbies.
That reminds me of that TikTok of when they do a job interview and they're like, we're just going to pull up 30 seconds of your Xbox Live, comment.
It's like, I'll just leave right now. Thank you.
Cinty Pinky, let's see. Hold on. Sam, wanting to do remote storage for my music projects and access anywhere. What's my best option? So there's multiple options. It really depends on what you're actually looking at trying to do.
The cheap one, just get a USB drive.
Well, if you're trying to access it from anywhere, USB local storage is definitely
stuff, I think.
Yeah, you can do Nextcloud stuff like that, but depending on what you want to do, you could also do depending on how fancy you want to get with this, you could do an S3 bucket. Wasabi's pretty cheap.
Yeah. Yeah, but it also depends heavily on knowledge base too. If
that's what I was saying. It's depending on how fancy you want to get with it. If you're a coder, S3 bucket all the way. If you're, you don't have to be, but then you need to know about securing the bucket and stuff like that. There's a lot of ways to slice this up. You could even just go Office 365 OneDrive or Google Drive. The question is what do you want to do? How
are you want to go down the rabbit hole?
Well, not only that, but how do you want to access this, for, music and everything? Because it also depends on, are you saying, I want this to be able to be listened to anywhere, that I can hook up my phone and start streaming the data? So there's a lot of different variables that go into that. But there's a lot of options out there, and many of them are inexpensive. The Wasabi S3 option I mentioned, that's only, $6 a terabyte a month, if I recall? Which is a lot of music. There's, of course, many different options out there. It's just a matter of how deep you want to go with this rabbit hole. Let's see, Cinty Pinky. Oh, yeah, I think I thanked you for the $25 tip. I'm pretty sure, because that was earlier. Comenity needs to be shut down. I've had so many issues with having random charges on cards I had with them. What's Comenity? Gotta look that up. Comenity. Is that this? It's a credit card?
Oh, yeah.
Let me see what
I don't
this
know
is.
Dude, I still don't have credit cards.
1.5% unlimited cash back. I mean, I'm just trying to see. Do they have fees?
Oh yeah, probably.
That's what I'm trying
It's
to
like
see.
it's like any of these like you know, I guess I don't just like little kind of shady credit card places, because it's like they're like, oh yeah, look you have all this. Oh cool, what's your interest rate? Yeah,
It's an F you're gonna be in debt forever kind of interest rate.
Yep. Well, and because they go after people who are like, oh, I don't get any other credit cards, and they're like, well, we don't turn anybody away. That's the people you got to worry about.
22.24 to 20 or 29.24% interest. That's kind of high.
Kind of.
With 26.99 on balance transfers. The cash advance is close to 30%. And the APR will vary based on the market of the prime rate on both of these things. There is no annual fee, but then they have transaction fees? What?
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Oh, no, that's balance transfer, cash advance, foreign transaction. Penalty, all that. But that interest rate is damn high. Because my interest rate on my credit card is 13%. You know, the credit union credit card I use, but I only like have a few hundred bucks on there at most any given time. I have my Amazon Chase card, but I really only use that. So there's like big purchases I put on Amazon. I can split that up a lot easier, or at least I can get the 5% back on Amazon purchases. But I'm a different kind of credit card user. I'm the what do they call it? The revolving door, which is like there's two type of credit card users, and you can tell by the reward offers they get. So the most common one is, you know, people that, you know, are constantly in debt. You're the one that usually gets advertised to based on free balance transfers, free, you know, 0% APR for a year. And, you know, just you're trying to, you know, move that debt along, and they expect you to hold it. And then the other kind, the revolving door, which is what I am, is I get ads all the time for, you can get this many points or miles and rewards and all this. Like there's been some enticing ones for airlines that I've actually looked at, which I may actually pull the trigger on now that Southwest is no longer doing the 2 free checked bag things.
Yeah.
Did you hear about that?
Uh-huh.
So luckily I booked you know, a flight like long ago that is grandfathered into the airline that I'm using, where I can, you know, get a checked bag. But now like all of them don't allow you to do free checked bags anymore.
Yep.
You pay for it on top of it. But yeah, like so now that like they're all the same, I'm probably going to find I'm just going to basically find what airline I like the most with their credit card, and then basically suck up the annual fee at most I have for the perks. Probably use that as the primary card for the first couple of months just so that I can get all the reward points, pay it off, and then move on.
Yep.
But yeah, so yeah, Open Router's cloud. I messed with it before. Free credit monitoring is like illegitimate children. You have them, but don't always remember the source.
Yeah.
My best friend's daughter got caught using that LOL, some kind of AI boyfriend website. Oh yeah, that's unfortunately an issue.
What?
Yeah. Can you do our black magic fuckery?
Oh god.
Oh god, what is this? Oh, and somebody, Stabby is asking how Y is L star star. What was the term that was banned there? I don't know what term that was, Stabby. I'm catching up on all the stuff. You'll have to let me know. But the moderation bot gets kind of stupid sometimes. I will be honest with you. And I have it at the lower setting, believe it or not. But here we go. Probably gonna regret this.
What?
Our black magic fuckery.
Oh god, yeah.
Black. I also want to point out that I'm not logged into
Reddit?
Yeah.
Oh, well, yeah, you don't want anybody to see what your subreddits are, because, I mean...
My subreddits are, like, all technology-based, to be honest.
Oh, yeah, mine aren't.
Oh, I know yours aren't. I've seen your social media feed. Like,
listen,
look, I'm Jewish and telling you that you need Jesus.
I have 2 Twitter accounts, okay? One is for everyday use. The other one is for culture. Thank you.
Okay, so let's see. Communities. Anything that clearly has no other explanation but no good voodoo black magic fuck. This video right here is giving me Dorothy kind of vibes right here.
Oh, God.
What the? Okay. What the string?
Let's see. Huh.
I'm gonna have to pipe the sound in. Oh, it's not there. It's there. The hell?
Oh. What'd you do?
I just put the audio on. What the?
Okay.
Laminar flow spread out from a spoon with fingers. Oh, I've done stuff like that. That is trippy.
Oh, God, yeah.
Yeah. It's really great when I was in college in an altered state of mind. The hell? Yeah, I could definitely go through this entire subreddit there, especially in an altered state of mind.
Mm-hmm.
Just sit there with a bottle of wine.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah,
Let's
that's
see.
easy. Easily, that's a whole day right there.
Little drama never hurt anybody as long as you're not part of it, at least. That's true. But I'm also, you know, like, I don't mind dabbling into talking about a little bit of drama. Like, okay, I will be honest. I'm not particularly a fan of Ethan Klein. And I'm not a fan of Hassan. But I have been watching that drama and enjoying the crap out of it.
It is the Listen, this is like this is the fucking shit show of the century.
Oh, this is the epitome of F around and find out. And Ethan is going scorched earth with the lawyers and everything. And I was catching up on how, like, Frogan hasn't gotten served, but Denham's got served.
Oh, hold on. Did you hear what Denham's did?
No, what? I'm trying to see if this is the same thing.
Threw her entire.
Oh, she threw her mods in the Discord and
Yeah.
everything to the wolves. Yeah.
Oh, dude. I saw that and I was like, oh shit. That is so. Oh my god. Like, honestly, so there's a lot of people that are like, oh, like, she's done. Like that, right? I was like, no. But see, you don't understand.
I don't think she's done. Like, on one hand, I do understand where she's coming from, given the whole situation. But on the other hand, it's not going to go well with the community.
Well, and the big thing is, it's like people doubt the power of the wiener. And
I know what you mean by that.
And there is a lot of stupid decisions guys will make just because they're losing blood flow.
Well, what was it that Robin Williams once said? God gave man both the dick and the brain. Unfortunately, did not give us blood to supply both properly at the same time. And unfortunately, and I'm sure many ladies out there can attest to this, there are way too many men that think with their dick.
Oh, yeah, 100%. I think with my dick all the time.
Yeah. Okay, so hold on. Let me catch up on chat before we get back to that drama story, because I've definitely been enjoying the Schadenfreude on that situation.
Oh God, yeah.
Bleach the computer. Oh yeah, sexism. That's probably referring to the things we were talking about earlier.
Wait, what about sexism?
Back in the situation where I said I came out of a toxic relationship, and I can understand where some people can, unfortunately, like, start blaming all of the opposite sex when you need to realize, no, it's just that one person that was toxic.
Not just one. There's a lot of them out there.
Oh, I'm just simplifying it, but you get my point. Like, there's many toxic people out there, men and women and everything in between. But, it's, I think, unhealthy to paint a broad brush because of your bad experience. And I do have to honestly say this, and I know it's not, a definitive for everything, but sometimes, and I had to do this for my relationship because I, realized I was getting into toxic relationships. You have to take a step back and look at why am I choosing these toxic relationships, and then address that problem. Because, for a while I was realizing I was picking broken people that, that are in the worst ways. And, now I have this, like, spidey sense where it's like, why do I like this person? And it's like, that should be a red flag if I like them as much as I do. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, the whole, like, I don't care if you're a man or a woman. They both have the problem with, often with, like, I can fix them. No, you can't.
Well, sometimes you don't even want to fix them. You're just like, dude, I'm in it for the shit show.
That's true too.
Like, dude, I mean, listen, we've all made bad decisions. I've been there where it's like, oh, dude, like, listen, okay.
Yeah.
I was gonna say something. Let's just move on. So I don't say that.
Yeah, we'll move on.
Oh, bitch, get out the way.
Yo.
You heard that?
Oh yeah. Hold on. You keep going. I'm gonna send you what I was gonna say, and then you determine if it was good enough for chat.
Okay. I'm allergic to trees, though. So get that. If you're allergic to trees, what you should do is, hold on. Darko will probably get this reference.
Here you go.
If you're allergic to trees, then I can't find it just right. Like, for some reason, the internet's not loading the image. Okay, hold on. No, of course, it's on Facebook, and they want me to log in, but I don't have a Facebook. Okay, there we go. If you are allergic to trees, you need to get this Ebola condom.
Oh God.
You remember this? That meme going around?
Yeah.
Yes,
Here,
use
don't-
an AI god to center yourself.
So don't.
You know what? Get yourself an AI that is programmed to act like a Goa'uld from Stargate.
Oh my god.
Hey, Seek Day, how's it going? What's up, Chris? Bedrock, I'm sorry, I Karen'd one streamer. What did you Karen them? And Stabby's like, I don't like what Southwest is doing. Yeah, I don't like it either. There's a reason why I used to like Southwest was, you know, they were one of the most cost-effective airlines for if you wanted to go anywhere domestically. Now they're just as bad as everyone else, so I'm gonna look at my options moving forward. I had no issues, you know, getting their business class and all that for many years because you know, it was nice. You had the insurance and everything, but it's like, yeah, screw it at this point.
Oh yeah.
I've been pretty loyal to my card company. Pay it off every month, though. Also get ads for rewards more than APRs. Ads? Oh, yeah. Back to what we were talking about with, yeah. So, yeah, I pay off my card every month. Maybe at most 3 or 4 months, totally.
Mhm.
Hey, Chief, best budget to mid-tier gaming CPU out there now? It'd probably still be AMD's Ryzen's. You can get some Ryzen 7s at a good price.
So honestly, like, did it say? What level?
Mid.
All right. So I just built my nephew a computer, and the Ryzen 5s are like stupid powerful. If you're looking for like a mid range, like, they're great. If you can get like a 700 series, obviously is great too. But I mean, honestly, it's not like, for most people, the 5 series is like amazing. But
Yeah, I
once
like
you
the
start
5
getting
series
into
for my
heavier stuff.
Yeah, that's generally why I lean towards the Ryzen 7. Like, I have a 5700X in my stream box, and I have a 5950X in my main workstation over here. They still do plenty well, and they were very cost effective. But yeah, like, for the price jump between the Ryzen 5, which is what I used to have in the stream box, but like you're saying, once you get into heavier things, you need to jump up, which is what happened to me. And you might not realize just how quickly you'll get into where the Ryzen 5 isn't enough, especially if you're gaming. But the nice thing with the Ryzen platform is those motherboards you can at least, you know, use for multiple generations. So you could get like a Ryzen 5 this generation, then the next generation comes out, and you're like, I want to get a Ryzen 7. Update the BIOS, install the new one, you should be good. Yeah. I just open sourced the database of all my passwords for anyone to fork on GitHub for security.
Oh my god.
Like watching a chicken fight. Oh, those are fun to watch. I mean, when it's the Peter Griffin chicken fight thing.
You know,
Yesterday,
I have a friend who had a saying for that, and I can't say it on here.
I'm trying to decipher this. I was yesterday into a hospital, which is a military hospital, which literally nearly no security. Yeah, there's a lot of hospitals, unfortunately, that way, and the military is often not as secure as people would think. What do you think of Torque? Oh, you're talking about the SOAR platform? I've played with it a little bit. I actually wanted to get it for the longest time, because I think it's a very powerful and amazing platform for scalable, orchestrated, automated responses. That's what SOAR stands for. So basically, for everyone to understand, you first want to build all of your data in to a SIM, a System Information Event Monitoring System. And then what you want to do is, with that data collected, create a SOAR so that when there's certain actions that are, or conditions or that are performed, it will automatically perform certain actions. So, for example, if I'm giving an oversimplified one here, if device IP is found to be equal to Russia, like your device is suddenly in Russia, have CrowdStrike contain that device. Like, that's a one small example of things you can do. Or, but you can pull in, like, all this data from, like, your email security system, your EDR, XDR, your zero trust network access, and other things, and then you can just have actions automatically act based upon different things. Torque is a very powerful platform, and I loved how easy it was to build everything out. The issue was work didn't go for it because it is expensive. But I think it was well justified in the price, because I'm dealing with CrowdStrike Fusion SOAR, and I hate that thing. Because it's kind of convoluted the way they do it. Like, you have to deal with Falcon query language, which is not very intuitive to deal with, and there's a few documented features in there that aren't well documented. Like, I needed to figure out a automation that worked on workstations only, but another version that worked on servers and domain controllers, well, just servers in general, and I found out domain controllers are classified as a different thing. I found this one obscure setting talking to some of my peers in cybersecurity, like, it's product type. 1 equals workstation, 2 equals domain controller, 3 equals server, if I recall correctly. Like, I had to look that up. Whereas, like, before, I should be able to just say, like, classify it in different ways and all that, and it's totally different than the classifications in the CrowdStrike GUI. Like, I would seriously rather create automations in Python, terraform those up to a AWS Lambda to run to CrowdStrike over API, than build a lot of these Fusion SOAR automations because of how convoluted it is. Now, they do have the CrowdStrike Foundry that you can, like, put Python code in there and turn it into apps and scripts and things like that and build it into the SOAR. But then I found the issue where it's, like, not the easiest way to get a rolling 30-day window in Falcon query language. I've been trying, like, basically, like, look back on 30 days. Now, I know if you do the search in a SIM, the CrowdStrike SIM or stuff like that, it works. But then a lot of the FQL queries do not work in SOAR that work in other parts of CrowdStrike. It's like the most mind-numbing experience. I do like CrowdStrike. I just don't like the things they have that they're building into, because it feels like they're just kneecapping a lot of their own capabilities. But I digress. To be honest, I don't think her lawyers gave her that much of a choice. Either she throws them under the bus or throws chance of settlement under the bus. It's a lose-lose.
Yeah.
I mean, I totally agree with that if we're talking about the denims thing. But
It's still shit.
It's still shit. But what I was going to say is she dug her own grave on this. Because she's been, like, the problem is you have all these people that are, like, orbiting around Hassan and everything. And they're, like, doing things that don't make sense. Like, don't get yourself in a drama. Like, okay, like, what was it? The content nuke that Ethan put out.
Yes.
And wasn't it her that, like, the issue that they all, why he was able to catch all of them was he set that trap up of they were non-transformative with the content they were watching.
Yes.
Which then, and their intention was to steal views from Ethan by watching it on her stream. And of course, many others. And she's outright said it. So she screwed herself, and I'm pretty sure her lawyer told her, like, you kind of just handed your ass on a silver platter here.
Well, and that's the big thing. Like, here's the reality, right? Is there's I don't want to dive in really deep because
There's a lot of lore into this whole thing.
well, there is, but the biggest aspect, and this is the thing that I always say, there is a leniency when it comes to people who have an agreement based on ideals, right?
Mhm.
And when you have a little bit, some people will take that and go, okay, fine, thank you. Other people will see it and go, okay, well, if I get away with this, I can go farther. Oh, look,
Mhm.
I can go even farther.
Give him an inch,
Oh,
they'll
look,
take a mile.
I can, yeah, and not just a mile. They'll go
Circle the globe.
across the country or circle the globe. Like they have no problem with doing that, and that's when you start getting into like you start seeing like how like they get away with a lot of shit, and it's yeah, you know, it gets to the point where like they do worse and worse, and they keep getting away with it. And I'm not going to sit there and say it's purely politics, but you see these people who they get into fights with other people, and you can see a line, and it's so obvious when you look and you're like, man, like there's people getting banned for like really stupid stuff. Or like stuff where it's like, okay, I get that, but then you look at like somebody else and you're like, why did they not get banned for this? Like it's the same thing, but at the end of the day, they won't, and it's sad because I mean, Twitch is eating itself, and
they definitely are. Did you see the video where they were like going through the boardroom with what's his face, Dan Clancy, and you look around the board and not boardroom, but there was a meeting he was walking into, and there was not a single person under 40 in there.
Oh yeah, and this is all the people who are like, hey, this is what we think is best for the platform,
right? And
that's when you start to realize, like, oh man, that's why hot tub streams got away with so much.
Yeah, and then was it Dan Clancy was also asking for like followers in his streams or something like that?
Well, he also got caught gooning.
Oh, he did? Like, I thought that was just a joke that people were doing, but no, he did?
Oh yeah, dude. It was so obviously, you know, when you're on Twitch and you're scrolling down, it's gonna recommend you stuff in the channels that you watch.
Like, I get a bunch of DJs and stuff often because I like music.
Yeah, and he's scrolling through his Twitch like recommended, trying to look for something, and it was literally just like hot tub stream, hot tub stream, hot tub stream, hot tub. Like, girl talking, and it's just like, god damn, Dan.
The algorithm had him really pinned down.
Oh yeah,
it's like it's like that TikTok stream where like you have the boomers that are like, all I see are these girls in bikinis and doing dances and all that, and TikTok's and we're sitting there like, the FYP is saying a lot about you. Or the funniest one is when you have like the really devout Christians that are talking about all they see are like gay people and LGBT content.
Ooh, I do have other news. Big news. Huge news for people who are into VTubing.
Okay.
Iron Mouse has left VSojo.
What's that?
And
you have to tell me.
So alright, so sorry. I'm gonna bring it down. So Iron Mouse, you know Iron Mouse.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
I know of them, but I haven't seen them.
Alright, so first off, Iron Mouse, I don't care what anybody says, I will fight to the death, right? Our mouse is fucking amazing. Okay,
I hear great things.
Yeah.
I just haven't watched them.
dude. When she did her subathon and she got like the most viewed stream and all that, right? And the most the most subs. People were giving her crap because she's a VTuber. Dude, I think almost all of that entire subathon went to Immune Deficiency Foundation, which is like
It's noble.
she has immune deficiency.
I've heard that
cannot-
she's like bedridden or something like that.
No, she's not better. She can't go outside because she doesn't have like any immune. Like the smallest cough, she's screwed, right? So VTubing is like her like way to get out and like talk to people and like. So she's amazing. So she was in VSojo, which was like a large VTuber corporation, right? Which is they just manage VTubers.
Okay.
Give them like,
So an
hey,
agency,
you're
basically.
doing this. We're gonna help pay for this and get you all this, blah blah blah.
So an agency.
Yes, she found out they're not paying her what they should be. They're not giving her what they should be, and part of her fucking giveaways and part of her donations to the Immune Deficiency Foundation, the agency VSojo, she claims, owes over $500,000 to them.
Oh goddamn!
That was promised to the foundation, yet has never been sent. She has an
Scummy.
entire she's got a whole big thing where she just ripped into them. And like, all right, let me rephrase it. I'm sorry. She didn't rip into it, but like she laid into it and just was like, this is why. Like it wasn't like where sometimes when you see like VTubers leave agencies, it's kind of like there was some stuff that happened. I can't talk about it, or I don't want to talk about it, or I don't want to bring it up. We're just parting ways. All this. No, yeah, there's actually it's 11. You don't have to send it, but you can watch it later if you want.
Mm-hmm.
But that I just DM'd you her thing.
Okay.
But yeah, no, she and now all these people have been leaving VSojo for a bit now, and like most of the people that left were like, hey, it's just stuff is going on or whatever. But she was like the first one that left, and I think she did it because she has such a massive audience that VShojo can't be like, oh no, like we're gonna do all this to you. She's just like, I am powerful. You cannot touch me.
You have no power here.
Yes. Yeah, her record-breaking subathon, she had requested VSojo to make a donation on her behalf, but they have yet to. All sorts of shit, man. It sucks, dude.
Yeah. Well, I also had this video keyed up that I wanted to watch, which apparently this guy was saying that ham radio's 430 megahertz band is at risk. So I wanted to check that out. So for those of you that are not aware, when you get your technician license, basically you have the 2 meter and the 70 centimeter band that you mostly can access. I think you can also do, what is it, the 10 meter, I think it is, band. But 430 megahertz is in a very popular range, and the primary user of that is the U.S. government, and then ham radio has secondary rights to it. But this might cause some potential issues if that's the case.
I have some very important news to share that I came
So,
across in an article.
I will say this. I'm gonna bounce because it is 10 o'clock and I gotta be up at 4 in the morning. But it was good hanging.
Yeah, it was good
luck
hanging.
with, I'm glad to see you on Kick. When Kick finally adds PayPal support, I can subscribe to you on Kick.
Yep. Well, I'll see you later, bud.
Have a good stream, bud.
See ya. Alright, so let's get to this video.
Amateur amateur radio operators worldwide on the 70 centimeter band. It relates to this article here. Ham radio users clash with Starlink rival AST Space Mobile over spectrum use. So, in essence, if you go through and read this article,
Never heard of this company.
in the description below to this, basically AST Space Mobile is, or AST Science and LLC, is a company that is based out of Texas.
Wait, did my audio just crap out?
Front, left, front.
Yep, it
left.
did. Hold on. Plugging back in the mixer.
Front, left.
Okay, that was weird. Like my audio just stopped going through.
Front,
Okay,
left.
cool. Get that out.
A Texas-based satellite internet company, and it's requesting long-term use of the 430 to 440 megahertz spectrum worldwide. Now,
Audio
this
up just a
band
little
is
bit.
already allocated to amateur radio, including
Ah.
emergency communications, amateur satellites, SSB, digital TV, data modes, repeaters, all sorts of things. And in most cases, we are on a secondary use in that band. So we're
Which
not
is
the
what I
primary
touched
users.
about
I
a
think
little
in the
earlier.
United States, primary users might be defense. I think it's the same here in Australia.
Mm-hmm.
But there's lots of different users in this band. But the primary 430 to 440 megahertz band, there's a lot of inputs to repeaters. There's a lot of other stuff that we
Yep.
use as amateur radio.
Yeah, I know there's quite a few repeaters around here that actually use that frequency, so that's a little bit troubling. Pull this to full screen.
operators. So the concern, though, is that due to this satellite system, it could cause widespread and persistent
Move myself so we
interference
can see
to
him.
legitimate amateur radio operations worldwide. And that's a key thing that we'll just bring up now about worldwide. And I'll get into that in a second. Now, AMSAT actually posted about this on the 26th of June, and I actually missed this. I've seen the link to the news article, and I'm doing further research. I found this particular page. Again, I'll link it below. But AST Space Mobile have already launched 5 Bluebird commercial satellites. They're operating in low Earth orbit. They were launched on September
And I just
12th,
wanna
2024. And these
grab
satellites, they're
another tab
transmitting
here.
telemetry on amateur radio frequencies. Okay, so they're a commercial satellite that is transmitting on amateur radio frequencies, and they're not amateur radio satellites.
Okay, so I'm checking out the voluntary band plan just so I can make sure of something. So you've seen me refer to this quite often. If you've seen me talk about amateur radio. So basically what we're talking about is these three, so the 23 centimeter, well, actually it's more 33 centimeter, 70 centimeter, 2 meter, and 2 meter bands. These are very, very popular bands that you can have easy access to. 33 centimeter is where Meshtastic is. You technically don't even need a license to operate here. And I think I could be mistaken. That's the case also with the 23 centimeter band. But the 2 meter and the 70 centimeter bands are very popular for a lot of different uses inside of amateur radio. So
they're using these channels at the moment: 430.5, 432.3, 434.1, 435.9.
yeah, so they're licensed in with only a 50 kilohertz band. So they're very, very small slivers of the spectrum for 50 kilohertz. I mean, it's a little bit more than, say, if you're doing phone operation. Like if you're doing CW, you're talking about a 150 to 500 hertz range, which of course is the narrowest of them all. And then if you're doing phone operation, you're needing to keep about 2.8 to 3 kilohertz usually of channel separation. So 50 kilohertz it's a little bit more, but it's not that big.
439.5, and these telemetry links are 50 kilohertz wide. Now, 5 satellites might cause interference every now and then, maybe, but you're
Right.
probably not likely to really notice it as much unless you've got a repeater on this input or something, perhaps. However, the problem is the future plans. So AST plan to launch 243 of these satellites
That's
to
a
increase their
problem.
total constellation to 248. So they're all expected to use this 430 to 440 megahertz band for telemetry, tracking, and command signaling outside of the US as well. So now, according to their FCC filings in February 2025 and on June the 20th, 2025, each satellite's UHF beam will include one command and one telemetry channel. Channels will range in bandwidth from 64 kilohertz up to 256
Boy.
kilohertz. So you can
So you're talking up to a quarter of a megahertz, basically. That's going to eat up spectrum like crazy.
with hundreds of these satellites, there's always going to be one overhead, meaning near continuous risk of interference for ground-based ham radio operators. Again, not just in the United States. These could be all overhead around the world, and who knows, they could even.
Yeah, when you say around the world, so the 2 meter and 70 centimeter bands, those are very popularly used around the world. I was looking into it. Part of the reason why I was pursuing my general and soon amateur extra licenses is easier reciprocity as I travel, and I can operate with ham privileges when I travel. Those were some of the common ranges. I mean, if you pick up a lot of the handheld transceivers, even your cheap Battlefangs, that's primarily what they're tuned to. 70 centimeters and 2 meter bands.
Their numbers even more. So there's a couple of things that I read in this previous article. Mario Lorenz, he's a German ham. He has formally objected to the FCC. And again, I'm going to get into this FCC business in a little bit. He was speaking here that AST seek worldwide access to a significant portion of the spectrum, which would almost guarantee international harmful interference. And there's also been an analysis done here by the AMSAT DL president here, Peter Golzo. I hope I pronounced that right, DB2OS. And if you actually go to that link, it's got some pretty interesting information and tech.
Now, what I'm curious about is why they can't go over to another band. Like, if we, hold on, where was the band plan? So, like, if they bumped it to the 23 centimeter band, yes, it would still be an amateur radio, frequencies, but this band's not nearly as commonly used as these bands over here. Why wouldn't they just use this or a higher spectrum? Maybe it's because it was easier to license out the 70 centimeter band over here, but that would knock us out of close to 10 megahertz. Almost all of the 70 centimeter band there, because we can only operate in 420 to 450 per our license. So that's a problem. Whereas, I mean, you have 60 megahertz of bandwidth over here, but this isn't used nearly as much. And then, of course, there's different ones there. They even have, like, a mention over here of, different frequencies down there.
Breakdown about all of the potential harmful interference. So have a look at that. But there's also been some Redditors as well. I found this Reddit thread here that they've been discussing this. And in actual fact, there's an interesting template down here, which we'll speak about soon. But why this is a global problem. So the problem can be is that it's not just the United States here. The AST's request has been made to the FCC Space Bureau, including the use of the 430 to 440 megahertz band globally. So they've gone to the FCC and said, we want to use this frequency portion globally. Now, that's a little bit unusual because the FCC only regulates the US spectrum. They don't speak for the rest of the world. Right. Usually, international use of amateur bands is typically coordinated through the ITU or the IARU. And in actual fact, we had some pushback on the use of 1.2 gigs, 1296 megahertz at a recent IARU conference. So that was...
Okay, so that answers my 23 centimeter argument. Okay, moving on.
That was discussed. So the fact that they're going to the FCC and saying, hey, we want to use this 70 centimeter band worldwide, well, the FCC don't really have the authority to go and regulate it outside of the United States. But anyway, So the AST, they've appeared to bypass this international consultation. They're already operating in amateur specific frequencies. They're also operating, they're not on a primary service, they're not on a secondary service. I don't know what service, so I don't even know how they're operating or why they're operating in that.
And this is also a problem that I have with the Trump administration, amongst many others, is they've been openly wanting to sell more of the spectrum space that we effectively are going to be even more limited in amateur radio spaces. And I know a lot of people may be like, okay, what's the big deal there? In times of emergency, the main one of the main ways that we rely on when the internet's down and you have no cell capability is ham radio operators. We have talk nets where people will pass along messages. So you'll literally like have people like say you're in Tennessee, you have a relative down in Texas, you would ham out from your talk net about, hey, I'm trying to get, find out about my, cousin in this area, pass along the message, and then that person would literally pass it along to different talk nets as they have messages to pass, or as we call it, traffic. Well, they're traffic nets, but, they would pass along information. And this is how a lot of critical information is passed in, like the floods that just happened. Because you got to think about it. When a flood happens, your cell towers are effed. Your internet is effed. And in times of where the radio and internet are both out, internet and cell are both out, radio will still operate, because you can even operate on a simplex operation where I just find out what frequency you're on, and as long as we're in range, I can hit you, and I can easily spin up a repeater as well on a generator. And that can be independent of cell and internet. Like when the entire country of Portugal and Spain were in a major power outage, that was one of the ways people were communicating, was ham radio and Meshtastic. A lot of people, I think, need to get a better understanding of amateur radio and the volunteer efforts that we have. In fact, I have been looking at volunteering for my county's emergency services to get certified through FEMA and stuff like that, and I think more people should actually be interested in doing that. Part of me wonders why they need separate frequencies for telemetry and tracking. Can't it just use cell data for that stuff? No, because this is satellite. So it's above. So satellite, so cell data doesn't really travel that high. So you have to understand that once you are above the, was it the ionosphere? A lot of frequencies can't pass. So they will attenuate or, they will either be attenuated, which means they won't be reached, or they will refract back to Earth. That's actually how ham radio operation often works, is we're using HF frequencies that we have. So even though your antenna is straight up and it looks like it radiates out, it's actually radiating upwards. And then it's hitting the F2 or D part of the region. So like if it hits F2, you can bounce it and get 2,500 mile range potentially. If it hits the D range, you can get 1,200 mile range. But there's a lot that goes into this. But cell phone towers, they broadcast out. And cell data will not work for satellites, which is why if you actually look at, like, say, the ISS and other satellites, we actually have the ability to do to track the beacons. And there's actually a series of a system of beacons that people independently put out to test for radio propagation to see, like, when I get my radio set up, I will actually do a call on these beacon stations to see if my call sign gets picked up so I can see how far my signal propagates. But cell data is not able to be utilized for this. I mean, even if you look at, like, say, a plane. So over domestic commercial flights, they are using cell modems in many cases to get data. But when you're doing an international flight, they have to get that data from a satellite because there is no cell signal over the ocean. So that's why. Let me know if that makes sense for all of you. But basically, it's not doable when it comes to satellites.
And how they've gotten permission to do it. I'd have to research.
Oh, which, by the way, I eventually am planning on tinkering with amateur satellites. There are ways that you can work with people to have them launched into the air and talk through people with satellites and do radio There's a lot more satellites out there than people realize. The definition of a satellite is really just orbiting 50 kilometers above Earth. Not really as high as people think.
In more detail, some of you guys in the comments might know, but they need basically to get approval. And this is especially in places like Europe. So in Europe, they have less UHF allocation than the US. They have 420. They don't have 420 to 430 megahertz. They've only got the 430 to 440 megahertz.
Mm-hmm.
And it also affects here in Australia. We also have a lot of our inputs to our repeaters, and we also use simplex and everything else in that particular band. So again, this band on 70 centimeters, it supports other amateur radio satellites, AMSAT satellites, emergency communications networks, search and rescue, data modes, DATV, digital amateur television, SSB work.
See how many systems it's... Yeah, see, it's going to mess up a lot of things. You heard search and rescue, SSB, which is single sideband, which basically when you're dealing with a range, you're dealing with one side of the band. But yeah, like you were saying, with the technician license, as I was talking about earlier, this is a very, very popular starting point for a lot of people in amateur radio, is to be using the 70 centimeter bands. Although I'm weird and I kind of stick around on the 2 meter bands.
It is, especially here in Australia, I know for sure.
That's most to do with the repeaters in my area.
Yeah, it's not just a hobby band. It's basically an operational band. It's a service band that have been used in a lot of situations. So, wildfires, hurricanes, disasters, all those sort of things.
And this is a sticking point that I've been having amongst many others with the Trump administration, is they've openly said they want to sell more spectrum. The problem is he's kneecapping capabilities for us to actually have a functioning amateur radio system, which we need for times of crisis and disaster. And that's been proven time and time again, because there's not enough government employees to handle all the comms. So they have to rely upon amateur radios, operators like myself, who happen to be in these net talks, and we're passing traffic messages to and from different areas. And we meet like once a week for an hour a week, and to be able to practice this actual ability for us to do that. But if we have less spectrum to be able to operate on, that's going to kneecap our capability for, say, the Texas flood, rescues and things like that. That's the issue.
So the issue that we've got here is that if we let one company grab global access to an amateur radio band through one regulator, it sets a bit of a decent precedent. So
they're launching for satellite direct-to-cell, similar to what Starlink did for Hurricane Helene. They're going to have to make it work anyway. Otherwise, cells will need new modems to connect.
More that these commercial constellations go up, like ASPs,
they should have done better research on the impacts of it.
Spectrum, and we have to try and save our existing spectrum. This is the spectrum that's allocated for non-commercial public service use. So this is where it comes to you guys. What can we actually do about this? Well, I must admit that I was a little bit late to the party in all of this. In actual fact, if we read back here on the AMSAT's website, it does speak about you can submit that you can read the submission that was requested to the FCC Space Bureau, but then you can also express a comment to the FCC. Now you can do this through an express comment, which is here, and you can fill in the details here. There is, again, a template on the Reddit post, which I'll go back to. This user here, Zimmer, he wrote a very nice
I might have to make a comment after stream.
You can paraphrase it, do all those sort of things, or you could just put your own in, depending on what you want to do there. You can also do a more detailed standard comment where you can submit maybe a document, PDF or .doc file. So you can do that too if you want to submit that. And you can also...
I find that interesting that they let you put a document upload in there.
Go back, and you can also read some of those that have made submissions. So if we go here, I think there's been quite a few, 785 submissions. Now, the big problem, and this is where I've fallen over, is it's actually due by the July the 21st. So in the US, that is tomorrow. In Europe, that is tomorrow. In Australia, that is today. So I'm getting this out now so that hopefully all of you guys can see this, make a response to the FCC and say, hey, this is
may have to rush and do that.
The United States, but it's also affecting worldwide, and, you know, put whatever you need to in your submissions. But we need to do this. I
think that should have been more
430 to 430
foresight when they set that up.
Why we need to protect it from interference and why this is important, and that international spectrum decisions should involve international coordination and not just the FCC rubber stamping things. I'm not blaming the FCC yet because they haven't done anything. They're sort of asking for these submissions. AST Space Mobile seems a little bit dodgy that you're already using these frequencies. I might be completely off here, and they might have permission to use these due to the shared access that we have in the amateur radio band, especially on 70 centimeters. At least here, we're secondary users in Australia. I think that might be the same in the US. So
yeah, we're secondary.
Just keep that in mind. Let me know in the comments.
So we are secondary users out in the US as well for the 70 centimeter band. The primary user is the US government. But yeah.
Below what you think to this, how we're going. Are we making inroads to be able to save our spectrum? Because I think it's very important that we need to do so.
Oh yeah, he's got a video about how to contact the International Space Station. I gotta get a Yagi antenna for that eventually. Oh yeah, I had this queued up as well. Radio rules the FCC really doesn't care about, and why. Let's see this. Oh, so hold on.
US as well. So now
go back to the last guy. Ham Radio DX. Alright. Give you a sub there. Let's see more content from that dude.
Hi, welcome to Citizen Survival Plan. Welcome back if you've been here before. Today, I'm going to talk about...
Interesting background. You have a safe in your background next to George Washington and a fire pit over there. Just an interesting little background. It caught my eye.
FCC
nothing negative.
But doesn't really enforce or care about. The first one is you can only transmit GMRS frequencies on a GMRS radio. Let's do a quick explanation on what is GMRS and FRS. This is a list of 22 simplex channels.
Yeah, we've talked about this a little bit before. GMRS radio. I have a GMRS license as well. Yeah. GMRS is the same as FRS, but you get more power.
Because that's what I'm really talking about today. Simplex just means it's a single frequency that you're on, and you and someone else are transmitting back and forth on that. It's 22 channels. There is different power levels, and this really has to do with the manufacturer that's making the radio that has to follow these rules, not so much you. So when they make a FRS or a GMRS radio, the frequencies are identical. The power levels are different. Let me explain.
This is a ham radio, and this is a Baofeng K5 Plus, and it is a ham radio. So technically, it would be against the rules to type in the GMRS frequencies, which I have in my ham radio and use, and this is 10 watts of power. Because it's a ham radio, it doesn't have the power restrictions that this has. This is a GMRS official radio, and you are still technically required to have a license just to transmit on the simplex.
Yeah, it's a separate license than ham radio. But it's interesting because, you can get the TID radio and you can do both on it. I know there's some radios out there that limit the power automatically on certain frequencies and bands, but
channels. And today we're not talking about repeaters. You will need a license to get on the repeaters because people will ask for that license. Now, this is a Paw Patrol radio. This transmits on channel 12 GMRS or F.
I just like that. It was like out of left field. It's like, this is a ham radio, this is a GMRS radio, and this is a Paw Patrol radio.
And this transmits GMRS channel 12. Now, this Paw Patrol radio, you can see it's connecting, is probably 1/4 of a watt. The whole point to this video is you could use this or this that you technically need a license for and transmit with more power, and nobody is really gonna know the difference.
On FM radio
now we're gonna
station,
get into how the FCC can measure power
an area
and some other things later in the video. But generally
line.
speaking, they aren't really going to be able to tell, or more importantly, they're not going to care that you are doing this.
There is ways for the FCC to measure how much output your radio is putting out, depending on what license you have, but they would have to hook it up to a power meter. That is...
Yeah, that would be where they're checking your peak envelope power, because FCC measures power from the transmitter in PEP, not RMS. But yeah, they would have to get a hand on your device, and it'd be hard for them to prove if it's FRS, GMRS, or ham radio without getting a hand on it, and it's just not worth the effort, I think, for them to actually do.
Power. And then
I think I've talked about this as well a little bit. It's one of those, like, you shouldn't, use a ham radio to operate it, but you can, and many people do.
Have to test it. So unless you're handing your radio over to get tested by the FCC, it doesn't really matter. Now,
Speaking of which, I need to get one of those power meters.
there is another way for the FCC to measure this, or radio people to measure this. It's called ERP. That's effective radiated power. This is a less precise way to measure power, and it depends on distance, how far you are from the person measuring.
Yeah, you'd have to, be right there. And ERP deals with a whole other thing as well. Now, when you are actually running your radio and everything, ERP is of concern because you have to make sure that no one's getting more exposure than they are actually allowed to.
It and just a lot of different factors. It's not very precise. So even if you got a, let's say, GMRS radio or a ham radio that was 100 watts, it was like a mobile, and you pushed 100 watts on one of these GMRS frequencies, no one is really going to care, but you are skirting the line of what is legal at that point. Your handhelds are just not going to matter that much if you're transmitting 10 watts or 5 watts. You're not ever really going to get caught. That's my opinion. If you need to consult a lawyer, go ahead. Another FCC rule that exists that...
Although it's kind of interesting if you do find a lawyer that actually understands ham radio, because there's not many out there. Sometimes I have to talk to my lawyer and explain to him certain concepts to make him understand. Like even when I was doing lockpicks and stuff like that for work-related stuff, with the legality of it. But yeah.
Not really enforced is people need a GMRS license to transmit on GMRS channels 1 to 22. This does not go for the repeater channels, but people use the GMRS frequencies, the simplex radio to radio frequencies all the time with no license. I want to talk about an example of everyday lawbreakers, that people that bend and break.
I would eventually like to own a GMRS repeater. I want to own a lot of things. I also want to put Meshtastic up on the house. Probably gonna end up putting mesh tastic on the side of the house.
Rules all the time, and nothing really ever happens. So there's a bowling alley / arcade that we take our kids to, and I see them all running around with Baofangs. They have UV5Rs that they might be the GMRS version, but either way, even if they're transmitting simplex and not using repeaters, they are still required to get a license for everyone using that radio. And it's a business doing it. So
You don't necessarily need to get a license for everyone using GMRS. If you're in a single family, GMRS licensing actually allows you to license multiple people in your household. So, like, you can get a GMRS license to cover. I've seen a lot of farms do this where they get one and they add people to their license. Same $35 applies. It's not per person, it's per license. And they just add them on and then they can all operate.
they're all, I think it's even listed on Radio Reference, they're all on a certain GMRS channel or FRS. So they are actually breaking the law operating on GMRS or FRS frequencies, especially because of the radio that they're using. Now, if everyone at that business ran around with Paw Patrol radios or an actual FRS radio, it would be more legal. But I see them using Baofeng radios. So I know that they're using a GMRS version of that. And I've looked at the radio. It is officially a GM. I can't remember what it is off the top of my head, but I remember looking at it and looking it up. And so I know that they're breaking the rules. But my point is,
yeah, you need a business band license to do a lot of that stuff. But that requires more money and licensing, and that's a few $100s, I think, per year for a business.
I don't care, and no one really cares. These frequencies are basically license free. Now, I will say, if you ever want to jump onto a GMRS repeater,
with us that it's bad.
And that is a radio tower that is operating on 2 different frequencies, and it boosts your signal over a much larger area. If you don't know what a repeater is, it is just a better piece of radio equipment that your radio can tap into and boost your signal.
How a repeater works is that you'll feed in on one signal, activate it, and then it retransmits basically on another. It's not like, there's not much delay between a repeater. So simplex is, let's say I'm at 147 megahertz. You'd have to be at the same frequency that I'm at. Whereas with the repeater, I'm keyed in to listen on one frequency and transmit on another with a differentiation. So, like, oftentimes you'll find a separation of 0.6 megahertz when dealing with a repeater. But with GMRS, they're pre-programmed what separation is going to be there. Because I think there's another 6 or 7 channels on top of the 22 standard simplex channels for repeater and GMRS.
You will need a license when you jump onto a GMRS repeater. So if you ever wanted to use one of those, you will need your license, and people will ask for your call sign when you get on there. But if you're just using...
I can never remember my GMRS call sign. I never can. I have it. I have to write it down. I know my ham call sign, but I haven't had to use a GMRS repeater yet.
Go to radio communications, a license is probably not even worth purchasing. Now, going back to, can you transmit GMRS on a ham radio? This is another example of people breaking or bending this rule that no one cares about. I am a ham radio operator and a GMRS radio operator, and I'm not the only one that does this. Most hams do this. You get a UHF VHF radio, and you put your GMRS frequencies, which are 462 and 467, in with all of your UHF and VHF frequencies, and you program them into the radio and use them. The only thing is, when I jump onto a GMRS repeater, I just have to notate that I have to throw my GMRS call sign out, not my ham. I have 2 different call signs, which is really annoying. And this is a really good way for the FCC, in my opinion, to almost help some of these radio companies just sell more radios. Because if you're a ham, a lot of us hams...
You're really do wish the FCC would allow us to simplify our call signs, so we just had one call sign to rule them all.
GMRS people too, and we technically have to purchase two different radios to transmit ham frequencies and then GMRS frequencies.
Which is annoying if you're ever traveling. I'd rather have one, but I'm probably gonna end up having two for various reasons.
Have to be labeled and
I actually have 5 radios, handhelds.
certified to transmit on those frequencies. All in all, it is a stupid rule and law that no one cares or follows. The only people that seem to care about this are commenters
So his
on
video is
YouTube
basically just focusing on
saying that the
GMRS.
FCC will
And I
track
think
you
there's a lot
down
of
and
other things
arrest
we
you
can
if
talk
you
about
do
in terms
this.
of radio.
That bowling alley arcade that's in my town has been doing this for years now, and no one has done anything about it, and nobody will or cares that they are doing it. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video.
I also saw a video that was talking about how there was somebody that was illegally operating on CB with a ham radio that was out of power limits, because I forget what the CB radio limitation is. I want to say like 2.5 watts or so, and they were blasting out like 50 watts. I do want to get into CB as well. Oh yeah, I forgot to share. There is a radio that I'm potentially going to be getting in the near future after I upgrade my laptop. Let me pull up the Radiohead's channel here. I was looking at this particular radio. I saw one of the hammers that I watch on YouTube showing it off, and it looks nice. Essentially, I want to get this because I can throw it underneath my seat. And it's a 50-watt radio, which would be double the 25 watts that I have on the Anytone. And it's programmable over Bluetooth, but the screen is right there on the mic. And it looks really nice and capable for a lot of different things that we can do. But yeah, you can connect Bluetooth to program it. Now, the one thing that was interesting when I saw the video, when they had the USB, that's a full USB-A port. I don't know why they do it that way. But yeah, it seems like it has a... Me and one of my friends messed around with CB operation. I want to build a mobile unit again. It's the Wild Freaking West. Nobody moderates it. Oh yeah. But this particular one I think would be nice because it's got wider bands than what I can do in my Anytone. Because this would be nice to get access to the air bands. As well as the 220 band, because I never really do that. However, these are the ones that does receive only. Airband, I would like to just do because you can, receive for aviation and stuff. 220, it's just airband, but that'd be interesting to do. 300 to 400, that'd be nice to, do RX on. But I can at least TX on 140, the 2 meter and 70 centimeter bands easy. Now, the interesting thing is, you can do Morse code transmission through the app. That'd be nice. But I think this also has APRS capabilities, so you can do offline maps, things like that. That's why I think it's like a much better unit, because if I'm, in a situation, so it's got, dual band, Bluetooth, GPS, it's got a compass built in, it's even got a speedometer, that's nice. So I think this would be a fun one to have. However, it is on the Apple Store. Okay. But yeah, that'd be really nice. I don't think this can do DMR, though. Yeah, I came across this from a video earlier today. But yeah, it's really nice. Now, of course, the microphone has a different, unique kind of pinout. But this I think would be nice because the current ham radio I have, I take it out of the car whenever I leave and stick it in the cup holder, and I have a little cup holder mount for it. But I'd like to be able to just get a ham radio and shove it under the seat. And at 50 watts, I think this is still plenty enough power that I don't need to tie this directly into the battery for the car. And it's got a nice little fan over there. But yeah, this is a nice little ham radio, I think, that I'm definitely going to be looking at in the near future. Of course, it's a chunk of change here. $338. And what's this? An extension cable for the microphone? Okay. It is a little bit more expensive than my Anytone, which is about $120. This, if I purchase it, would officially make it the second most expensive radio in my collection. Right after the base station with the Yaesu. And after I have my Parks on the Air, it would still be number 3. But nobody said ham radio is, well, just like any hobby, actually. It can be as much or as little expense as you desire. But this looks like a nice little guy. I haven't really heard of this brand that much, but it's the Vero Victor Ringo November 7600. But yeah, that's really, really nice. Especially if I can do the app programming, because the one issue that I have with my car radio is I have to manually program that. And the way that I do that is I open up Chirp, and then I have this cable over here. And this cable goes into USB, obviously, on one side, and then the RJ45 microphone connection on the other. And that's how I program it. Now, imagine I'm driving around, like even just a Hamvention. I don't know the repeaters in the area. Maybe I forget to program my radio, or stuff like that. So then I could actually open up the app and program it, similar to what I do with the TID Radio H8 that I have. I would like to have similar capabilities in a handheld that could do DMR. And if I recall, there was another one I was looking at that somebody was talking about. Yeah, I think it's this. The N76, I think it is. Not too expensive. It comes in pretty colors. You know I like my clear electronics. Ooh. Is that an 18650 I spot? Why can't that just be solved with an SDR transceiver? Well, it's more about being able to grab the list with the different radios and everything like that. And, I mean, don't get me wrong, SDRs are nice. But I would like the ability for me to just program the app over here than anything else. Now, the thing that I'm curious about, because mine currently, the TID H8 does that. So this does APRS. Now, what I'm also curious about is if this can do DMR. So it does privacy tones. Oh, it can do the airband too. This is a little bit better than the TID H8 I have, because the H3 is what I use to get the airbands. It's only 7 watts. Well, that's roughly what I have for the H8. It's about 8 watts, give or take. One thing most people don't realize about CB in the US anyway is that it is lower frequency than most no license required devices, which means you do get skip at higher powers. What do you mean? Oh, Yeah. Well, yeah, because what is the CB frequency? CB frequency. Yeah, you're operating an HF. So you're at 26.96 to 27.405 megahertz with 10 kilohertz of band of space between each. So, yeah, you're an HF. So you could actually operate this on my Yaesu radio that I have. And I could totally do CB comms on a ham radio at 100 watts. Now, I'd be breaking FCC regulation to do that, obviously, but technically you can do that. Now, if I were to take my Yaesu radio and at these frequencies lower the power to acceptable limits, that could be doable. And then I have a CB and ham radio set up locally. Boosted one to a bit above the limits and contacted a trucker in North Dakota from Rochester, New York. Yeah, you can get some range on HF. So what you probably were doing was you were bouncing off the atmosphere. You probably had your signal go up and then it bounced down. Because if you hit the D region, you can do 1,200 miles. If you hit F2, higher up, you can do 2,500 miles on one single skip. And you don't need that much power to get that working. I mean, my Yaesu can do 100 watts, but, I mean, you can do, like, they allow spread spectrums at, like, 10 watts. You can, I mean, hell, you can get 50, 60 mile range from a ham radio and VHF, UHF. So if you drop it down to HF, which actually lower frequencies can go further with less power, like AM radio can potentially go up to 1,000 miles, if I recall correctly, under the right conditions. Whereas FM can maybe do like 60, 70 miles. It's a huge difference. But like I'm imagining a setup with an SDR transceiver plus pocket laptop or whatever. Couldn't software control wattage so you don't have technically illegal transmit on ham GMRS frequencies. Yeah, you can adjust that. You can adjust that on your handheld transceivers as well as the mobile one. And then there is a device. I've seen some people use this. There is ham radio hats for Raspberry Pi. Pull this up. You are just taking your sweet ass time. Yeah, so there are, as you can see here, Raspberry Pi hats. You can easily do that. Now, of course, this is an SMA antenna, and your limitation is really going to be your antenna. Now, remember, it's more important to have a good antenna. Oh, probably helps if I'm sharing this. It's more important to have a good antenna than it is to... you'll do better with a good antenna and a cheap radio than an expensive radio and a cheap antenna. And in case I didn't show it, this is the handheld I'm looking at. This looks pretty... Ooh. You can do SSTV image reception, so I can receive images over here. That's nice. I can do Morse code. It can do network comms? Does that mean it can do DMR? Interesting. If this can do DMR and all that, that'll be great. But yeah, there's definitely a lot. I think I'm past the statute of limitations, but we were near or just past 70 watts with the gear we were running. Yeah. What's the CB limit for, what is it? CB power. 4 watts. Oh. 4 watts for AM and FM, and 12 watts of peak envelope power for single sideband. Interesting. So, what I'm curious about is if you were hitting a trucker in, like, South Dakota, how was he able to hit you back? Like, how are you able to confirm 50 watts? So I'm just curious how you were able to confirm. But yeah, so now I'm curious. DMR. I don't know if this does DMR. That's the only thing this isn't capable of doing. But this could be a nice daily for me to replace my TID H8 with. But yeah. Okay, that was much lower than I thought. Yeah. Maybe he had modified stuff too. Yeah, I don't think a lot of people talk about and they run things out of spec. You'll find people do a lot of funny things. But we looked up the interstate he was on, and he wasn't anywhere near us. Interesting. I know eventually I want to get a CB radio because of comms, and I think that'll be great. To just have a CB radio when my car breaks down, something like that. Yeah, it'll be really cool for those kind of needs. And then I do want to get into a satellite. I want to be able to eventually hit the ISS. I'm going to need a Yagi for that and figure out the positioning of where the ISS is, as well as talk to different satellites and things like that. There's a lot you can do, but first what I want to do is get my base station set up. Now, I'm unfortunately going to have to rent a scissor lift for rough terrain to install my antennas, because I damn near killed myself installing them on the ladder before. And now I want to get those antennas mounted. So I'm hoping to get that knocked out before DEF CON. I have to plan for the rental. But I have to find a day that it's not raining and I can do the thing. So I may take a PTO day off of work, so that way I can do that. So that's going to take a little bit of planning. Worst case, I'll take care of it the week I get back from DEF CON or the week after, again, pending weather. I'm not in any severe rush, because the other thing that sucks is we're on the tail end of the solar cycle right now. What I mean by that is there's an 11-year period when the sun grows and shrinks in intensity for us to actually be able to have better propagation. So let me see if I can get this map. So yeah, here we are. You can see this is the 10.7 meter flux. This is the sunspot progression. So we're coming in right around here. So I'll still be able to get some good contacts. But getting into these years over here, it'll be lower. So then it'll get up again. And then I'll be able to DX a little bit better. Radio operators are just firebenders. Another story that happened which makes me think it's the Wild West was me and my friends encountered a scary looking truck who would jam CB at night twice 4 months apart. Yeah. I know of some stories of the FCC having to chase down people that were doing harmful interference. But yeah. I find it interesting that they have this sunspot progression information going all the way back. Now, what would have been cool? Which sunspot? So it looked like 57 had the best spikes for sunspot activity. So the HF contacts must have been insane. Because I know I was talking to an architect of mine, and he was able to hit, like, some pretty interesting places. But yeah, I'm looking forward to getting some HF contacts, even if we're right around here. It's still pretty good. Yeah, we're gonna have some fun with ham radio. I don't know how much I'm gonna be doing on live stream, but I will definitely be having some content together about WinLink and other things, and yeah. So I'm gonna try to get also a video out about the RF Hunter. I know I did a TikTok, but I'm gonna do a proper YouTube video. Sit down and get that built out before DEF CON. I may edit it on the plane, who knows. DEF CON should be interesting. Don't forget, in 2 weeks, be at DEF CON. There will be no stream planned. But I may possibly do some intermittent surprise streams. They'll probably be over on the Twitch side of things. Keep that in mind. It'll be an IRL off my phone. So, hopefully there'll be some things. I'm hopefully going to run into some friends, make some content. If you are at DEF CON, and you do run into me, I won't bite. And usually I'm up for chatting and everything, as long as I'm not running to another, talk or something that's very important. But I will be looking at doing some meetups and everything. I will get some information on Discord and an announcement in the week or so about Meshtastic, because I will be on Meshtastic if anyone wants to chat with me on there. And regular GMRS, I'll probably be on the bands there, poking through. I don't know which channels I'll be on specifically, but you only have 22, so it won't be that many. And of course, the DC shoot. I'm I'm planning to have a booth there, and I have confirmed Colonel Dump is going to be there. So he was planning to be at the shoot with me. We're going to have some fun, and everyone's welcome to the booth as part of the community. If you have your own pew-pews, you're more than welcome to bring them and, shoot with us. And if you don't, that's cool. You're not obligated to, but, if you want to throw in a few bucks for ammo to keep everything fair, that's really appreciated because ammo costs. DEF CON will be really fun. It always is fun. Although by the end of it, I am exhausted. Why do people use Ubiquity? What's wrong with people using something like TP-Link Deco Mesh? Well, TP-Link Deco Mesh, I think, if that I'm not mistaken, is a lower, it's consumer. Let me make sure. Because I know I like the Ubiquity stuff a lot better. Yeah, it's a totally different apples and oranges. Deco Mesh is a consumer thing. Ubiquity is more of a small business, small to medium enterprise sort of hardware. Its capabilities, apples and oranges. They're completely different things they're targeting. This is for, your regular home user. This TP-Link over here. Whereas Unify, Ubiquity, like I use, that is prosumer, small business, small to medium enterprise. They can handle hundreds of people. You can aggregate the networks and have more control over them. VLANs, all that stuff. Yeah, it's one of those, like, better for smart home management. Yeah, but also, you're comparing a sedan to a pickup truck. What I mean by that is you can take a sedan to the hardware store. You totally can. Get your tools and what you need to do, and for most people, it's fine for your DIY projects. But you're going to need a pickup truck when you start needing to haul plywood sheets and, much heavier equipment, and, that bed is going to be useful, and that engine's going to be able to tow and haul things a lot better. So it's apples and oranges in why they're used. It's just lots of different capabilities you can do with it. But Deco is not very feature rich. Exactly. I wish Ubiquity Dream Router would have more functionality for mirroring ports. Would be an amazing small business option for me then. Yeah, there's some complaints that I have with the Dream Router, which is why I use pfSense as my main gateway, and then I use Unify switches and access points. Is it a way bigger upfront investment? Yeah, I would say Unify is a lot more of a investment. Both in time and money. TP-Link, the Deco that you were talking about, that's designed for the home user to plug and play and pretty much get it set up. Ubiquity is still pretty plug and play compared to, say, like something like a Juniper, a Palo Alto, an Aruba, what's the other one? There's a few other brands out there. Cisco. But it's a lot more capable. Like, I have Unify access points and switches in my home lab, and I'm going to be adding another one for the outdoor, for the backyard, because I don't have full coverage there, and now I'm going to start hanging out there more. There's a lot more capability, and I can have a wired backhaul for my mesh network, so all of my access points have a wire. They're connected through Ethernet back to the switch that injects power into it. Yeah. I can only dream of Palo Alto. I'm stuck with Fortinet and Ubiquity budgets. Yep. Ubiquity is expensive for me, but Aruba would make me broke. I would love an Aruba system, but it's getting late, guys. How'd you learn Ubiquity? I got Ubiquity hardware and I set it up. I just connected to my pfSense stuff and have it VLAN. There's VLAN, so I separate the networks out virtually. So I have different wireless networks, and each corresponds to a VLAN, so they're separated out. But we can get deeper into that next stream. By the way, I am returning to my Wednesday streams now that my class is over. So I will be back Sundays, Mondays, and Wednesdays, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, give or take, depending on, like a note today, I was like early, like about 15 minutes or so. But DEF CON's coming. Make sure, if you haven't already, check the Discord, and you can find the links in the bio for that. We have a Discord. We have a Matrix server. I'm on socials everywhere. I'm on Blue Sky. I'm on Mastodon. I'm on YouTube. I'm on TikTok. I'm on Twitch. I'm a Kick. That's how you know I'm tired. Well, anyway. Yep, hands-on is always the way. Anyway, I love all of you. Happy hacking. Thanks for hanging out with me. I will see you all Wednesday. Stick around for the raid if you're ever on Twitch. And I will see y'all soon. Love you. Have a good night. Happy hacking.